Hey, what is good, everybody? And yes, thank you for unmuting yourself. Good to see you. Good evening, Scott. Lovely to have you.
Hey, Ruben. Hey, everybody. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see everybody in here tonight. Already waiting, a bunch of people. Okay, let's see who's here. Let me check real quick. Of course, Southern Comic Geek, you were here first, and you did not win a no prize, unless you buy it yourself on eBay, I suppose. Number one Marvel fan, what is up, sir? Lovely to see you this evening, as always, Mr. Red Jack. Same to you, my lovely wife Vivian. How are you, sir? And the Rickster, what is up? What is up? Jason Ladwig, what's up? Detroit Lions, barely tonight, barely, but we did it. Good day to you, David. Lovely to see you all the way from Oz, as always. And yes, Vivian and I are feeling better. We're just kind of stuffy. It's been 10 days for me, been about 8 days for her. 12 days for me, 10 days for her. I'll wait 2 more days, so it's a full 2 weeks, and then I'll test myself again. But right now, it's just congestion for me and a little bit for her as well. That's about it. So we're on the back end of this thing, so that's good.
And they let you out of your undisclosed location.
I'm sorry?
They let you out of your closet or whatever that undisclosed location was?
Yes. We're free. Free to roam. Hard, hi, how are you? Hard, good to see you. That reminds me, lots of Michigan talk tonight. I don't know about that, but we're number one, baby! Woo! CJ, what is up? What is up, CJ? Good to see you. Always a nice day for a Jeff wedding. Greetings to you, sir. And wow, look at that. Just popping in before I finish cooking roasted duck with funeral potatoes and asparagus. I never heard of funeral potatoes. It sounds very dire, though. Don't smell your pee after you eat the asparagus, though. Heart, just a little tip. Wingo in this joint. Yes, he is. He absolutely.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, you see, even Jason's like, what? Funeral potatoes? What are you talking about? Hey, JC,
Jeff,
what is up?
I have my Star Wars cup for you.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
OG Star Wars cup.
That's a cool Star Wars cup. Yeah. And Heart is saying hello. Oh, what's up, Carlito? What is up with you? Good to see you again, sir. John Brown, good evening to you. Wingo from Mikhail. What is up, Mikhail? Oh, Tony New York Jr. Yeah, what's up, Tony? Awesome. Gonna need some kick-ass art tonight, man. Wendigo. We've got Wendigo tonight. I do know that. I don't know why you're saying it, Carlos. But McSpidey host. And hello. Hello to you, Maki Poo-Poo. Lovely to see you. And the Oklahoma Kid. What is up, Dwayne Zapane? Adam Law. Hello. Good to see you. Hembeck. Maybe. Hello. And let's see. Oh, what's up, George? By the way, George, and forgive me, please, if I've already asked this of you on my show when you've come in, and I've forgotten. I don't think I did, or maybe I did, but you didn't respond. Anyways, forgive me if I've forgotten. A lot of people are saying your name, your last name is pronounced Haj. Can you just please chime in and tell us if it is indeed the proper pronunciation, Haj?
George lives in Raleigh here, so I see him a good bit, and it is Haj.
Okay, it is Haj.
Yeah, looks like Robert Downey Jr. And when you go around with him, people give him double ticks. He's fun to walk around with. I don't look like a celebrity, and he's a rock star, so that's cool too.
He's a rock star, absolutely. He's an actual real life rock star.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Derek? Good to see you, man. Alberto, wow, howdy to you. Mike Snitzer, wow, been a while. That's very cool. Who cares about the Lions? Go Niners. The Niners beat the pants off of the Eagles. You should be happy. That's fine, but like, my Lions, man. All right? I'll give you props. Give me props. I'm ashamed that you're a Spaniard, my only fellow Spaniard here, and you're putting down the Lions. Love the art hanging in the background. Of course you do. Look at that. Look at that. Well, it looks like we'll be seeing that tonight in more ways than one, apparently. Look at that. Of course, you would be calling out for showing some Manix. Of course. What's up, Mr. And glad you and Vivian are feeling it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Heart. And handle the Eagles. Yes, sir. Carl's collection. What is up, Carl? Everybody. For those of you who are not aware, Carl Sodergren. That's who that Carl is. And he just turned his account on YouTube into a little channel. And he's doing unboxings. So fun, cool comic art unboxings. I'm putting a link into the chat just now. And that's for his latest one. He just popped out on his channel a couple days ago, I believe it was. So go check that out. Lots of fun as always. Just 11 minutes. So much shorter than my shows. And let's see. Okay. Finally got an answer. So funeral potatoes with sour cream. Okay, that's not an answer exactly. Funeral potatoes are decadent. I think you meant decadent, not decent. Decadent. Wolverines have big hairy balls. They are quite the hairy creature, for sure, for sure. Thank you, Mikhail, for letting everyone know this. So yeah, decadent. Bootlegging, what's up, man? If you want to talk about something other than Michigan football, we can discuss the Jackets beating Duke yesterday. No, I don't think anybody wants to hear us talk football tonight, as usual. Well, good. You can cheer. I'll let you have the woo. There you go, man. Thank you. Funeral potatoes is equals hash blacks. Yeah, I'm still not getting an answer. Is that really a thing? Funeral potatoes? What the hell? Okay, we did that one. Funeral potatoes. Are a potato dish served at? Oh, that's why you call them funeral potatoes and church events. Isn't that usually when you go to funerals? Isn't that usually potato salad? What they call potato salad? That's what I usually see. Cold potato salad at funeral type events. Well, funerals, not events. I'm just dropping in to say hello and record my like. Of course, thank you very much. To congratulate Scott on an absolutely fabulous collection. Hope to stop by, though, from time to time. Sounds good, Comic Art Boston. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Cam.
And hey, what's up, Gil? Gil's back. My man. Good evening. Good to see you, man. Perfect. Haj like Mirage. Exactly. That was the thing, is that I was wondering about the G sound. If it was soft G, as in Haj, which is like the French J, right? Like je ne sais quoi. Or, if it was supposed to be Hodge, hard G, right? Which it didn't sound good to me, so I didn't think so. And I wanted to be sure. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And my wife says, almost forgot. Welcome, Scott.
Yeah,
10 minutes in, it's okay. And you already had said hello a few minutes ago, so that's cool. Awesome. So what's up to you, Jason? Cry Eagles Cry, of course, the 49ers fan. Hi, Ruben the Collector. Hi, Scott. Hi, Vivian Chu. Have a great show tonight. Thank you. And have to catch this one on Rewind. I hope everyone has a one. Thank you, Karen. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Karen. I enjoy your channel.
There you go. You see, Karen, you're probably already gone, but 4 minutes ago. But when I talk to you by email, I'll let you know Scott enjoys your channel, in case you didn't hear that. What else we got? Scott, my pleasure. Sorry I can't stay throughout. We'll definitely catch the entire show on Rewind. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Let me see. Scott for Prez. Hobby Hal is here in the house. Look at that. He wants Scott to be the president. Oh, yeah. Have you and Ruben recovered wholly? Almost. Probably 85, 90% Comic Art Boston. Thank you, though, for asking. We will get to this question, actually. I was wondering if I should ask you. I figured might as well. Since it's been brought up, I'll ask. Let me just catch up to the last few comments. Yeah, I know it's basketball season. You know, that's why you're cheering for. You mentioned Duke. Who would mention Duke football, right? No offense to the Duke football fans. What's for dinner? I don't know. Thank you. Okay, Big Blue is going to the Peach Bowl. TJ's happy about the Peach Bowl. Hey, man, whatever it takes. Carl, thanks for the plug. No, you're very welcome, Carl. I can do some other types of videos too. Can't do all unboxing. Okay, cool. Hey, more variety, the better for everybody. I always say so. That's cool. That's fun, man. That's the more collectors that try to do some kind of new YouTube content. I think it's great for all of us. We can't all watch it all, right? But at least more content variety gives us the ability to pick and choose, and we watch what we choose the ones we like best, and that's it. So yeah, but it's nothing better than choice, right? So the more the merrier, I think. So go to it, Carl. Look at that. Matt's here. I predict Spider-Man art. You may be wrong about that, but probably not. Ruben is getting over COVID and still has more energy than all of us combined. You know what's funny, Mike? A week ago, when I was only 1 week into COVID, I woke up and I was feeling like kind of like okay energy-wise. And I was like, let me see if I can at least do 1/4 of the amount of my calisthenics that I've been doing, like push-ups and whatnot. I ended up doing not only 1/4, not only did I do my full regiment, I did twice as much as usual that day. Don't ask me why. I don't get it. I don't understand. I went back to the norm the next day, but still, yeah, weird. So I don't know. COVID a weekend gave me a boost of energy for 1 day. Very, very strange. But thank you very much, TJ. Really appreciate it. There's a who's who of collectors here. There really is. Thomas. And who's Thomas? Thomas, do I know you? Do we know each other, Thomas? Just plain Thomas. Let us know. Is it your first time here? Do we know each other? I always want to know. John Nguyen, awesome. Predict epic X-Men Cockrum. That might be an okay prediction. I see the Hembeck on the wall. That's it. So if you don't see it on the slide, at least you're seeing it on the wall. And never mind, Spidey Show, Scott's X-Men Gallery, fabulous. They have ephedrine in Canadian cold medicine. No fair. You guys don't have that in your medicine? Interesting. We've never met. Thank you, Thomas. Hey, I appreciate you jumping into the chat, though. So that's cool. I like that. A friend let me know about your show. Awesome, man. What friend? Do I know that friend? But that's awesome. Thank you for dropping by, man. Appreciate it. Please hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. That's the like button. It looks like a thumbs up like this. Yeah, Marcus, thank you. It's funny, right? I said like 2 months ago that it'll probably be, I think at the time I was like 26 away from 500. I was like, at my pace, it'll be about a year before I hit 500. But now 13 to go, so it might be more like 4 months or so. So not too bad, not too bad. With the length of all my episodes, YouTube doesn't push out my content, obviously. And also, the algorithm likes not only short form video, but they like the short form videos to have as many comments and likes as possible beneath, in the actual comment section. That's what it likes. And since all my content pretty much, or 99.9% of my content, is long form and live, where all the comments come in live in the live chat, the algorithm doesn't look for that. And so, yeah, for the algorithm, I'm making long content, which it doesn't want, and long content that doesn't have any commentary underneath the videos. So I don't get no push at all. So, which is hence why I'm at 487. But yeah, what are you going to do?
What you have to do, Ruben, is cut every 90 minutes up into 45 2-minute episodes, and then publish them to TikTok, Reels, and then you'll be an influencer.
It'll take me like all week. It's like an all-week full-time job just to do all the cutting up for that.
I'm sure there's an AI that'll do it for you. We'll figure it out.
Okay, all right. Mike Switzer invited Thomas. Awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thanks. Great to see both of you here at the same time. That's very awesome. Look at all these. See, very friendly crowd we always have, and we're all buddies. So that's what's great, and we're all friendly. and very welcoming. So great. Tariq, what's up? Hey, how you doing, man? But we like your content. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I know. Hey, listen, I do it the way I do it because that's how I want to do it, and I think it's fun for all of us. Even though it is long, and I understand people can't tune in and stay for the duration or watch the whole thing on rewind. I get it, but it's how I like to do it. It's all about the live experience. That's the most fun anyways. And as long as we, a couple of dozen of us have fun during the live portion, that's really what it's all about for me. So as long as that works, yeah, I'm happy. So has the term short form ever been used in the same sentence as any of Ruben's shows? It has not, unless I'm the one who brought it up, like I just did. Thank you, everybody. Just before we get into the show and tell with Scott, I just got a couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, real quick, shout out to my newest subs. There was a few this week. Actually, Nick Franks, thank you very much, Nick. You were, I think, a day or two before last week's episode, and I forgot to mention my subs from last week. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And to the rest of you who are anonymous this week, whose names I couldn't see, thank you very much as well. That's very kind of you. And I got another link to pop in here, everyone. So into the chat we go. I'm going to post this. So this, you all remember, going back to April 25th, inker Dan Parsons, I told you guys all about the news of his 18-year-old daughter, Zyla, being stricken with cancer. And they had a GoFundMe going. She went through 6 rounds of chemotherapy from April, or I guess May till September. I believe in September or October, they gave her a clean bill of health. I believe that was October. And then in the Friday after Thanksgiving, she had been feeling bad. She had not been feeling good. And the day after Thanksgiving, the Friday after Thanksgiving, it was revealed that she was no longer in remission, and that the cancer had not only returned, but that there was a imagine that, a fist-sized tumor pushing up against the muscles of the chest wall. So needless to say, you can imagine how dispirited she has to be right now. And anyway, so here I'm just putting the link to the GoFundMe. You can read up. She even has an updated message of her own that she posted just yesterday. And tomorrow she's going in for an operation, I believe, a biopsy. So they're still obviously needing money to help pay for all the treatments. And yeah, I'm putting the link there just in case anybody has a few extra bucks to spare to help the family out. You can do that right there with that link. So thank you very much for that. And for those of you who just don't mind, if you do such things, keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, if you don't mind. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And let's see if there's anything else. So there was Carl, Zyla. I think that's it until a little bit later in the show when I'll do my typical mid-show, mid-episode Nikki B promo. So that's good. I think that's good, man. Anybody else I need to attend to real quick? Let's see real quick. Actively collecting. It's terrible news. I know, Cab. I know. It's always, it's always horrible to get it in the first time, right? Imagine as somebody at her age, and then to go through all that chemo and to have to be told, okay, well, you're cancer free for now, and then a month or two later to have it come back. It's horrible. So yeah, absolutely, Hart, for sure. Thank you. So okay, so we're caught up. Let's get into the show and tell. You ready to do this, Scott?
I am.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. All right, everybody, let us do this. Let us get into the first piece, why don't we? And in order to make our friend Marcus happy. Why don't we make him happy first? We'll get him out of the way and show a little bit of Manix.
Yeah.
I love this, Scott,
Nice.
by the way. I wanted to choose a little Manix because I've been seeing, quite a bit of it being posted. And when I looked at your collection, I was like, I mean, I like them all, but I was like, I wanted to choose one. And I was like, okay, this is one that's like done in a 3-piece sort of individual piece thing. It tells a story in individual pieces. I thought that was incredibly unique. And I thought, yeah, okay, this is the one for me. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about how this sort of idea came up, and if it was your idea or Manix's.
It was not my idea.
Okay.
I'll kind of start the show by saying I'm super busy and I don't get to cons and stuff like all you guys do. I did make it to Heroes, so that was nice, and I'm 90% going to OAX, so I'll see everyone there. So I saw Manix first on that first Jiggy live stream, and there was a Spider-Man piece on there, and I was very excited, and I went to the site and it was sold out. But there was a Venom piece, so I think I got the second piece of Manix art, is my guess. But the thing about Manix art is once you have one, it leaves you wanting more, because at first you're drawn in by the fun cartoony nature and what he does, and then there's kind of 3 aspects to his art I like, and the third is he messes with perspective. This one doesn't have as much of that attribute to it. Right. And then the third is he sneaks storytelling in, and it's usually pretty subtle. And what I liked about this one was as you kind of look at it from left to right, you see Vader there, and he's got kind of an interesting expression, like or oh my gosh. And then you see a lightsaber on the ground, and then you see Luke without his hand, and then you're kind of like, then you look back at the lightsaber and you're like, I guess there's a hand on there. And his expression with his eyes, and he's got almost like a little thought bubble that's kind of like, oh crap.
Exactly. Like,
so it's kind of funny how it kind of unveils the story and makes, when I look at it, I always go left to right, and then I kind of go back left for some reason. And it's really interesting how it kind of, the story unfolds as you really kind of look at the art.
Yeah.
So this was not a commission. This was a drop they had done. And, I figured, well, if I'm gonna have some cool Spider-Man art from Manix, I definitely want a Star Wars one as well. I also ended up, I don't think this is on my gallery, but there's a Yoda one I got, and it's Dagobah, and it's got that crazy perspective. It's one of those where you could look at, it's got Yoda's really tiny on it, and the Dagobah, the creatures and the weeds and the rainforesty kind of element of Dagobah is on there. And it's just, I have no idea how long it took him to do that one, but you could just look at that one for hours and try to figure out. And then it's all intertwined in this kind of like weird way where you're kind of like, it's almost like an Escher drawing in some ways. So, yeah, that's the fun of Manix. It's really interesting. Like, he would do drops and no one would buy stuff for weeks, and now it's definitely caught on. I think it's I think Marcus has really come over to the Manix team.
Yeah. Well, that's what tends to happen, with unknown artists, especially if they're not monthly professional artists, right? And they have quirky styles, totally non-mainstream. It makes total sense, right? At first, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, well, what's that? Like, that's okay, cool and all, but like, yeah, whatever." But then when you get, a little bit of sort of hype going, right? You promote it more and you push it, you put it out there. You start seeing a few other people sort of picking up pieces from those artists. Suddenly, it becomes a snowball effect, and people begin to appreciate it more and think, "Well, okay, I guess I'll pick one up too." And it's that snowball effect, and the appreciation and it grows more and more. And yeah, there you go. Now you have the guy being one of the most sought after artists, it seems, out there from what I can see. Except that Lance has him chained to like the bedpost in his basement. So most of the pieces he does now are for Lance. But that's okay, Lance. I appreciate seeing them all. That's okay. I don't mind you hogging them. So no, it's fun. It's all good fun. So yeah, that was cool. And I figured I want to see
the other thing about that's interesting about that I just thought about on the Vader one is, now that they've done the prequel, what we realize is Vader had his arm cut off as well. So there's like a weird echo in the Force thing that goes on there. And, I kind of wonder if Vader's thinking that as he's kind of thinking about, maybe he pauses for a second and is kind of thinking about the irony of that.
Okay. And by the way, everyone, as you should already know, because I often forget to mention it because I always assume people should know by now. But just in case, for those of you who are here for the first time, especially, and those of you who are here every week and just forget, the link to Scot's gallery is right here, right below inside the description. So as he mentioned before, if you want to see the Dagobah system Manix did with the Yoda and anything else in his gallery, after the show, click the link that takes you directly to there. All right, and it's
yeah.
You see
you can go to
else.
McSpidey.com. Another CAF member was generous enough to donate McSpidey to me, which I appreciate the domain name.
Oh, that came from another CAF member?
Yeah, I think it was WolverIne Fan.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow, Rob, that's okay. That's interesting. Was he? Because I guess he
or maybe it could have been Rabbit Ferret. I always get those confused. It was one of those two guys. It was one of those two that have a very similar kind of brand that I do. Rabbit Ferret being another word for Wolverine.
Yeah, Rabbit Ferret. Herd mentality. Yeah, I mean, but that has, that brings negative connotations, Caesar, as you know. So far, it's been all pretty positive. So good for him. I enjoy this stuff. Caesar, I think he would do a great Jonah Hex, so you might want to consider it. Just an idea. TJ says, got a fun Wildcat piece from Manix during the one Cal in 2022. That's cool. Yeah, there you go. And Cab says, yes, he's very open to ideas for commission. So there you go. So yeah, excellent. All right, and smart lemming mentality. Okay, it's is there such a thing? There's lemming mentality, but smart lemming mentality seems kind of like a
oxymoron.
Oxymoron. Thank you. Yeah. In fairness, if the content of the art isn't good, herd mentality doesn't work. Good point. I like that, Cap. Good point. Yeah, fair point for sure. It's fine art mentality. There you go, Carl. All right, everybody, let us get on to the next piece in tonight's show and tell. And for that, we're going to go now. I knew I wanted to throw you guys a little curveball in the first one, so it wouldn't be the obvious, but I'll wait for the second one to be a little more obvious. We're going to see a lot of this tonight, as you would expect, but why not? Everybody loves it. Here we go. Let's check this out. Action, action, action. From Amazing Spider-Man 300, page 36, superb action, pencils and inks by Todd McFarlane from 1988. Awesome page there, Scott.
Thanks. Yeah, so if you haven't seen my little bio, I've been collecting art. So I was a comic collector like many of you. And then I also am a study of economics. And it always bugged me that, I'd stretch as a kid and spend $100 on a piece, on a comic book. And then I'd look to go sell it and I'd always be able to sell it for maybe 30. And that's kind of like, I'm kind of the fool in this equation, right? Because I'm spending money on stuff that I'm getting maybe a third of the value for. And this is before CGC came around. So, and then I'm a big McFarlane fan, and I went to this, when he launched the Spawn toys, I lived in the New York area for a while, moved to North Carolina in 95. And then right around then 93, I moved here. And then in 94, he launched Todd Toys, and he was having a signing up at FAO Schwartz. And I was going to be in the area. I think it was around Thanksgiving or something. And I went to this signing, and the guy in front of me had a page of original art, and I'd never seen it in my life. And I was in line for like 2 hours, so I had a long time to talk to this guy. And he told me all about original art, and then it just clicked. I was like, this is one of one. He's like, yeah, this is the original art. And I was like, and I was blown away by how big it is, and then the level of detail. It was a Spawn page. It was like a pretty early Spawn page, if I recall. And then I started poking around, found, Comic Art L back in the day, if you remember that, on Usenet, and all these things. And then the Lowry, and then CAF was born and all that. And, I started collecting. I had a pretty myopic focus, as my name entails, of collecting McFarlane Spider-Man. And then as I've done that, the prices have gone up, but I was able to get a pretty good collection, having been at this for whatever it is, 30-ish years now, doesn't feel like that long. But I would get like 2 or 3 pages a year, and I could never stretch to get a cover. So a lot of people ask, why don't you have covers? And I had a pretty limited budget, and I was like, well, I can get one of those or like 4 of these other ones. And I know it's odd, but I like the storytelling. And
that's not odd. It's not odd. Believe me, a lot of people appreciate the storytelling. I know where you're coming from, Scott, because yes, we all know about there's always been, as long as this hobby has been in existence, right? There's this crazy sort of obsession with covers and splashes. We know that, right? But they're believe me, it's evolved a lot to the point where there's a lot of people who do appreciate the storytelling aspect of it,
So Comic Art Boston had a thing. Then I'll finish my story. Do you hold back now? What's nice is I feel like to kind of use an accounting principle, I've got a lot of equity in my collection now because it has accrued. So what I do is I'm able to kind of fund the hobby, and I know a lot of you do this as well by kind of saying, all right, here's a couple of lower tier things from my personal perspective. I will sell those and then I want to trade up, or I have begun diversifying a little bit. Some people mentioned some of the X-Men art I've been able to get, and I've been able to get that by trading, McFarlane pages that maybe don't have Spider-Man in them. And I've got so many of those, I can sell 20 of those and be able to get some really good diversity in my collection because I've got the 30-year equity in my collection. So that's how I'm able to to do that. Held back on covers. Well, if I was just doing this for money, which I'm not, that's been a happy accident, and it allows me to get more comic art and maybe do some things that I wouldn't do that are just kind of retirement type stuff that I had never planned on. Also, I've been fortunate that my business activities have been exceeded my expectations as well. So the covers have accrued more. So if you want to do this for economics, if that's kind of like bigger on your parties, it does. The data indicates that covers are where the accrual value has really concentrated. So for every McFarlane page that I've gotten that's gone up 20, 30x. Covers have gone up 100, 200, 300x. So there's a scarcity value to covers, and it does seem to be, there's less of them just by definition. If a 20-page comic, one of those 21 pages, a cover in 20, obviously there's going to be more covers than panel pages. But within the McFarlane world, my tippy top of what I like is Black Spidey. So ASM, so Amazing Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, and then Black Spidey and Venom. So that page you showed has it all, and it's got a lot of great Toddisms. It's got spaghetti webbing. It's got a really cool perspective shot where we're looking at Venom falling down with action lines. A lot of the McFarlaneisms are evidence on this page. Some pretty good storytelling here. He always kind of reminds us that Venom's human by revealing some of the skin under the costume. You don't see, in modern treatment of Venom, he's just gotten like weirder and nastier and more shapes coming out of him, a bigger tongue and those. So he doesn't have that kind of human element anymore. Yeah,
monstrous more so than sort of human with the symbiote on him kind of thing,
Yeah, one of the things I love about McFarlane, he's a fellow entrepreneur like me, and you can always see he's pushing the boundaries, and that's why a lot of people don't like him. And that Image era, that's like kind of what they were all known for. Most famously recently, Rob with the weird Captain America chest and all. But to me, it's like part of pushing the boundaries. You've got to, to really break new ground, you got to try some stuff that's new and get out of the panels. This one page that you just showed is very panely, and it's kind of pretty early in his ASM run. And then as he got out into the Spider-Man run, he just like gets rid of panels altogether, and that's kind of fun to see that progression.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's fantastic. I think it's a great page. Are you bringing any art to the OAX by any way? Number one Marvel fan wants to know.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince George to drive down with me, and if we drive, I feel more comfortable traveling with art versus like flying with it. So
how long of a drive would it be for you guys?
I think it's 8 hours from here to Orlando-ish.
Oh, that's doable.
It's not too bad.
I'd drive it. I'd drive that rather than fly. Yeah. Okay, there you go, number one Marvel fan. I guess you'll find out for sure. We'll see what happens when you get there.
Cool. And number one Marvel fan also is in North Carolina. He's down by the coast in Jacksonville, if I recall. And I've I've tried to go there a couple times and something always comes up and I haven't been able to. I have a place near his that I go to in the summer. So next time I need to go see him. It'll be fun to see you at OAX.
And Cab says that some persons are skeptical when I say I collect for the love of the hobby, and that it is just fortunate that prices have gone up.
Yeah, to be honest, I do a little both. So the reason I got in the hobby was I was like, comics are a waste of money, and not to now CGC I think has made it better because it has created this perception of scarcity. We could argue if it is real scarcity or not. Scarcity within the currently known census. I know you've all I tried that for a while, and you think you've got this nice thing and like 16 of them show up or something, so that's always annoying. But with this we don't have that, right? There's not going to be another page like that crops up. Hopefully if it does, one of us has a fake. So
and hey Nick, what's up, sir? Good to see you.
Hey Nick.
And 36 watching and 33 likes. Yeah, what's up with that? Get a few more. Click the thumb up if you're watching now. Please hit that thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. I'm not asking you to subscribe, but if you could at least hit the thumbs up, that would be nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I owe a shout out to Nick for letting me win the Hembeck here because we were in a bidding battle, and I'm sure Nick could have gone well past what I was able to spend, but he graciously hit pause there, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Have a great dinner, Nick. Thanks for dropping by. And okay, sounds good. Let's check out the next piece in the show and tell. For that, we go to another really big name artist. And check this out, everyone. From WildC.a.t.s, number 8, page 21, by the Team Supreme of Jim Lee and Scott Williams from 1994. What's up with this?
Yeah, so this one, so I've been trying to get kind of so again, I really think the founding of Image Comics is fascinating because you have, 7 or 8 people at the top of their game at, one of the big two decide to leave and start their own company, which is super risky. And, in hindsight, it was genius. But when you do that, they could have failed. Think of all the different comic brands that have launched that have failed. It's definitely, the odds were super against them. And they made it work. So, and I love that, to do that, they had to do a lot of different stuff. And here you see, Jim Lee out on his own pretty early in the run. And the WildC.a.t.s, so amongst all the different Image founders, it was a fun one. My favorite was Gen 13, so I definitely had an affinity for that one in the Top Cow, I guess is what his house, his studio was called. That was probably my favorite of them, even probably above Spawn, but I still liked pretty early Spawn. And so I was trying to get a couple.
Sorry, Scott. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to know, did you like Gen 13 as your favorite because was it a combination of you liked the story and the art, or was it just mostly art? Do you remember?
I thought the story was interesting because it was kind of a new generation and they were younger and they kind of talked like the teenagers in the 90s. So and then they had tattoos and they were kind of unconventional. One of them had the purple streak in her hair, and it was just kind of like, it was interesting because a lot of our Marvel comics are stuck in the 50s and 60s, right? Peter Parker has got that look, right? So it's kind of neat to see like someone really take a fresh look at the young characters that way. So I thought that was a really cool way of doing things, a fresh perspective. So I've tried to get a bunch of art from that genre, and this one just really kind of scratched the itch for me. You got a transformation page, some really good action. I like how, whenever you get Jim Lee, having Williams inks is kind of, the optimal situation, I believe. So, and then you have a really good, that third panel where they're breaking out of the panel is really fun. Marvel would not have allowed that problem.
Yeah, well, they loved it because once they saw the success of what was happening with Image, suddenly they started telling all their
And they
artists,
loved it. Yes.
do what they're doing. Just ink it like the Image guys. Yeah, do what they're doing. Do fewer panels per page. Yeah, splash pages left and right. Yeah. And you started seeing that creep up in all the Marvel books as well. DC to an extent as well. So yeah, they learned their lesson a little bit too late. But as you say, Scott, I remember at the time it was really exciting. I was following the story at the time through the what passed for the news media, CBG, and whatever other fanzines of the time. And I would eat that stuff up, any article based on, any information I could get about, these upstarts deciding, hey, we're going to say screw you and we're going to do our own thing. That's exciting because, like, as you said, I was thinking these guys don't see listen, I was maybe not even 20 years old or something when it happened. And I was thinking, okay, this is really cool, but you guys know nothing about business. So I really am excited to see how this is all going to turn out, from that perspective, because I had my doubts because of that, So yeah, the whole thing was just very exciting. It was a really exciting time in comics, and it came at the right time with the direct market was just booming at the time, right? And it's just the timing couldn't have been better,
Then Todd went and launched toys, which is like the other category that's like a death knell, right? Because Kenner went out of business and did the Star Wars license. Like crap, that's crazy. And toys have been on a pretty steady decline, but
but don't forget with the toy thing, the Star Wars thing. Remember, and I remember clearly, like Star Wars as a franchise, at least in comic books, nobody cared. Nobody cared because there hadn't been a movie in so long. It wasn't until they finally released the fourth movie. What was that, 97 or 98?
Right around.
Right? Yeah. And up until then, it was nobody cared. It was just a dead franchise. It was like, okay, how many times can we talk about and retread the first three original, from the 70s and early 80s?
Some of us cared. Jeff Wedding and I cared. They kept putting out to us.
I know the hardcore guys cared, right? But what I'm saying is, it was just like people in comics. When you're in your local comic shops, people were wanting X-Men and Spider-Man back issues, Silver Age Marvel. Nobody was going to try to fill up their Star Wars collection. Like it was just really it was quite dead. And then Dark Horse got the license for the comics to revive it. And it kind of had a bit of an exciting boost to it, I remember, but it wasn't like, wow, gangbusters or anything like that. And then the movie, the new movies finally started coming out in the late 90s. And ever since then, it's kind of been like the franchise is just boom. It's just, everybody talks about it all the time. Whether the comics are good or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter who has the license. It's just worldwide explosion now, and everybody's super into Star Wars all over again. It's the franchise is probably bigger than it's ever been. Would you say that?
Yeah, I think there's a fair amount of people that didn't like the sequel trilogy. But yeah, the streaming has kind of revitalized it. There's a lot of people find a streaming thing that they like.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the streaming stuff myself, though, so I ain't going to say anything. Everyone hates success. That's true, Murdoch. Perfect formula for page 2, splashy image with multiple storytelling panels. Yes, the Jim Lee, of course. Ruben was a big Wizard reader. I bought it from the beginning, Marcus. I can't say I was a big reader. I was one of those guys who bought it. I did read the articles I wanted to read, but I hate bought it. So I hated it because I felt like it became very, very, what's the word? Like at the beginning, it was fun. And then not too much long into the run of Wizard, it was obvious to me that it was being run and written by a bunch of nerds, who just, I don't know, they're just immature fanboy geeks kind of thing. Like it just, I don't know. The way they behaved and acted, the way they wrote the magazine for the most part, just seemed very geeky, and it became all about speculation and whatever. So yeah, so at a certain point, I did stop buying it. If you must know. Who was trying to be like TMNT? Oh, the Wildcats? The Wildcats? I don't know if that's what you mean. Murdoch says, I was in my teens when Image hit. It was interesting to see what happened to them and everyone that wanted to have their own heroes. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was an exciting time. Always came back with special editions. Hey, Mickey. I give up comics right around that time. A lot of people did, and that's why the collapse in the market came. Once a lot of us started buying and reading these things and saw that the stories were horrendous, and as the company grew from those immediate sort of 6 artists, and it grew to the point where they started hiring dozens of other artists, aping them, and who weren't really all that good. And it just became bad copies of the original guys. That's when it just kind of went, into the toilet from there. And that's how it all, the collapse began, so to speak. Yeah, my fellow toy fans know exactly what I'm talking about. What about what? 95, the debut of Hulked Out Luke. They hulked Luke out back then.
Yeah.
Going all comics and X-War and an X-War Star Wars crossover. Maybe just me. Yeah, I'm telling you, the superhero guys they just weren't into the Star Wars comics at the time. Pat Bear J, another new guy. I love Jim Lee as a penciler. His X-Men run is the reason I started collecting comics, but in my opinion, his greatness comes from the amazing Scott Williams inks. That's well said. I mean, it looks the best, it seems, when Scott inks him. So I'll go with that. Most people would prefer not to remember Dark Horse's superhero line, Murdoch. I remember watching The Phantom Menace in theaters, me too, after finishing the first level of the CFA exam in 98. Yeah, me too. And everybody complained because they had that sort of digitalized Jabba the Hutt or whatever. And it was like, what the hell was that? It was so weird. And yeah.
It's Jar Jar. Everyone loves Jar Jar.
And then Jar Jar, oh, everybody loved Jar Jar. Yeah. Wizard turned into a hype magazine. Yes, sir. They were hype guys. They certainly were. But for the articles, I've heard that before. Hey, listen, Mike, I will say I bought, I think, 4 issues of Playboy in my entire life. I literally can tell you I did buy them for the articles. All 4 of them had comic book related articles, which was exciting to see at the time. I think they all came out between 88 and 91 or 92. And that's why I bought them. So still looked at the pictures, the photos, of course, but I bought them for the articles. Yes, sir, I did, TJ. Geek is fine, but not lack of depth. That's right. It's one thing if you're a geek, but yeah, exactly. It was very shallow. It became very shallow. How much guys learned from TMNT to try and cross over into toys and cartoons, Hollywood. Yeah. Good point, Marcus.
Yeah, it's all about the IP. Got to own your IP.
It's all about owning the IP. That's what it's sort of become, right? And especially over the last 20 years, everybody that leaves the mainstream to try to do independent. It's because you see they've got their eyes on hopefully having somebody pay them for the IP, and then hopefully turn it into a movie or TV show or something. What's up? Thanks, Mark. Good to see you, man. Image was more service, Dave Sim driven, and T. Eastman and Laird driven. Agreed, TJ. There was wonderful columnists and CBG. Yeah, CBG was awesome. That was always an awesome magazine or newspaper, if you will. Heck, Dave Sim champion Todd McFarlane hard. Yeah. Rumor wore those 4 issues out. I don't know. I kept them in mint condition, actually, because I was such a collector back in those days. Even though it wasn't a comic book, I had 4 mint condition copies of Playboy. I read them and then bagged them and put them like on my bookshelf or wherever, or in a box or something. Not well read. No, read once and bagged and tagged. Guys, they collect card art only. We're talking Jim Lee hasn't never done a Spider-Man published piece. For card art, you mean? I say the George Cargon Penthouse comics were great. Somebody admitting it. Most of the Image founders don't have many nice things to say about Wizard, but damn, those early superstar artist covers were the event. Yeah, man, that's why they were so big at the time, CBG amazing and newspaper comic for guys. Exactly. There we go. Okay, everybody, let's continue on. Thanks, everybody, for such a lively chat, though, especially. That's what you guys really are what make the live shows fun. So, but let's get to the next piece here, shall we? And let's check this one out. People have been calling for this. So here we go. And I got something to say about this, but I want to hear what you will say first, and then I'll say what I got to say. Okay, Scott? Here we go. X-Men 150, the 6th page by Cockrum and Rubinstein from 1981.
Yeah, so post-COVID, I've been doing, had some time to get back into the hobby and enjoyed it as a bit of a stress reliever. And as I've reflected on my collecting over the last 30 years, I feel like I need to add some missing pieces to my collection. And as I mentioned, I've been in this fortunate position that I've got some pieces that have accrued way beyond what I imagined. So I've been able to basically turn those into some things that I wanted. So, in addition to McFarlane, one of my favorite reads back in the day that I have a lot of nostalgia for is the X-Men arc from like 98 through the Dark Phoenix saga, and that whole, so call it 98 to maybe 200. So I've been trying to sample and get some pages in there that I really like, and so I've been trying to get some good Cockrum Burne pages. And I liked this one because I love a good submarine story. So my grandfather was an admiral on a submarine, so I've kind of learned a fair amount about submarines. So this one's kind of cool. How submarine versus Magneto. It's a rough situation.
Yeah, this. Can I go ahead and say why I like it?
Yeah, why do you like it?
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny because if I remember correctly, in your description, you mentioned, I think you make a mention of something about like a bit of a sarcastic comment having to do with, well, yeah, it's only Magneto and there's no X-Men on it, but, right? I think you said something like that. And here's the thing, okay? I don't know if any of you'll believe this, okay? But here's the honest to God's truth. Okay, this page is the only page that is seared into my memory from this issue. Now, I remember loving it at the time when I bought it, but I haven't looked at it since back in the late 80s, probably, when I flipped through it as a in my collection. But I never forgot this page, but I can't recall the visuals of any other page. And the reason for that is because at the time that I bought this, like Jason Ladwig here, who says it was X-Men 150 was his first X-Men back issue that he bought. This was one of my earliest back issues. I started X-Men with 166, and then, as many people do, you try to look for a nice round number going backwards to start from. And I thought, well, 166, okay, let me see if I can start getting back issues from 150 and try to fill in the gaps and then go on from there. And so I bought this early on, and I got to tell you, probably I probably bought this one when I will say probably 13 years old. And the reason it has stuck with me ever since is because as a 13-year-old, I was like, wow, like this is not just any bad guy. Magneto is not, like, he's not just your regular run-of-the-mill supervillain. He's literally a mass murderer. That's what stuck with me in my mind when I read this issue and I got to this page, because I'm like, he literally just sank a sub. Now, Scott, you can tell me, since you've learned a lot about subs due to your grandfather. So I don't know typically how many people are on a sub, where is it dozens? Is it a few? Is it a couple of hundred? I don't know. But to me, there's got to be enough people on a submarine that if you sink it on purpose, you just committed mass murder. And it never went away. It just stuck with me. The page always stuck with me. I just thought, and from that point on, I thought, man, Magneto's a badass. He literally will kill anybody just to make a point. And I just thought he was the most villainous Marvel villain of all time from that point forward. And that's why this has always stuck with me, and no other page has. I've always loved this page. So I don't know if that's weird to you, or
he could have bought it to the surface and peeled it like an onion, and they could have they could have gotten out. But no, he just like sank it like a rock and killed. I have no idea how many people are on this one, but it looks like a nuclear one. It's got those like launch bays on top, so probably hundreds, 300 or something like that. Yeah. It's a Russian one, so yeah.
So man,
Don't mess with yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because
don't go in a little metal tube and mess with Magneto.
Yeah, over the years, anytime people would talk about, my favorite Marvel villains or whatever, who are like the strongest or the coolest or the most evil or most powerful or whatever. I tell you, every time somebody brings that up, I think Magneto comes to mind, and the panels of that page come to mind immediately. And I when I get my turn to speak, I immediately want to go, hey, listen, did you guys ever read X-Men 150? Okay, because he killed scores of human beings in one fell swoop by drowning them. Well, I don't know if they would drown first or would it be pressure of the Hulk being crushed in. However, whatever happens first, but they would die horrible deaths either way, Yeah, it's just
the Hulk pops and you're just instantly compressed. Yeah, remember the Titanic thing that was about a year ago? That's
right.
Same thing, but many more people and Magneto.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there you go. So that's it, man. So for that reason, yeah, always a killer page. So when I saw you, you had put it in your collection, I was, that's awesome. That's what a classic page for me. So for me, to have read your description and mentioning like, I know it doesn't have X-Men. In my head, I was like, don't make excuses. It's like the best. It's my favorite page of the book. That's an awesome page, even though it doesn't have X-Men. Who cares about the X-Men? That's an awesome page because it shows the brutality of how bad and evil that character can be. So I think
that Claremont run in there is he really kind of like ups the a good villain ups the ante, and it's got like real stakes, and so we start here with this kind of thing, and then like Phoenix just like she's going to go destroy worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the range on Uncanny X-Men? What are you asking exactly, Dan? What do you mean range? Range of what?
It's like 98 to 200 was kind of like my sweet spot. So kind of like new X-Men all the way kind of through. When was Savage Land arc with Rogue and all that? Was that 180s, 190s? I forget when that was.
When Jim Lee was on it?
No.
Were they?
I think it was.
Was Rogue in the
Burne?
Savage Land before the Jim Lee era though? I don't remember that.
I don't know. I have to go back and reread them. It all gets jangled.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Memories always get all confused. Beautiful page. I would love to get a page with the Blackbird. Any vehicles make it great. There you go. Who needs X-Men on a page when you have their biggest villain being menacing? That's right, Pad Bear. That's what I'm saying, man. That's just my favorite page of that book. They had a scene in First Class with Magneto pulling up a sub. I don't even remember that.
Sure.
At the time, I probably would have thought, I wonder if that's kind of a nod to this page. But I'd forgotten about that. Recently met Joe at SF Expo. Was blown away by how nice a person he is. He shared a lot of great stories and was just super nice to interact with. Cool. It's always a good positive thing to get positive experiences with the artists. As we know, sometimes they don't go so positive. Good for you, Tariq. Implosion, right? Reference in Secret Wars and the first issue of Jim Lee's X-Men. Okay.
Not bad.
Magneto is cool, but he's no space turnip. Nice, Rich. Okay, so that is the Jim Lee era. That's what I was right. Okay, Derek says from 275 to 277, I think it was supposed to be. Scott answered the question. Savage Land Road was way later. Okay. 274 to 275. Okay. Feel so old. Savage Land evokes X-Men number 10 for me. By the way, just want to say my very first Silver Age X-Men back issue, a copy of number 10 with Kazar, and I was at the time desperate enough to own a Silver Age issue that I bought it even though it had a huge chunk of the bottom right-hand corner of the cover missing. Yeah, so there you go. But I have fond memories of that issue as well, Cab, even though I'm not at your age yet. So Thomas says, it's interesting how each iteration of artists built on and refined the basic visual storytelling until the 2000s, where it took a hard turn. That is interesting. Interesting point to make.
A lot of the movies
First
did
arc,
too. We had Tokyo Cinema, like people were going faster and breaking the convention of storytelling in movies, and I think comics kind of came along with it.
Mm-hmm. And Marcus says house style. All right, let's go to the next piece, everybody. And from the Cockrum X-Men, we're going to go to a little bit more McSpidey. Let's see what Scott has to say about this one. From 309, page 4, once again, pencils and inks by Todd McFarlane, still from 1988. Love the whole darker aspect of this one.
Yeah, you've got so McFarlane spends a lot of time on buildings. So you see the building there, and he's done an amazing job. Like, look at all the little windows and the perspective, and you have to have a McFarlane moon, so that's a check on the left panel. And then he's got the gargoyles, and if you look, he's mimicking the way the gargoyles are sitting, which is like they're creatures, and he's a human, but he does that breaking of his biology that I really like.
Yeah.
And then people hated how big his eyes are. So they're on the right panel. You've got like a zoom in, and he's got big eyes, and then he's got that weird silhouette that is another McFarlaneism. So a lot of good and an unconventional 3 vertical panel kind of setup, which is good. Yeah,
I always enjoy the when it's like either all vertical panel layout or all horizontal. They always make for a nice attractive eye appeal,
Yeah.
Let me see a couple of other comments here. Scott and Ruben, my apologies, I have to check out. No problem. So glad, Scott, to finally meet you in person. We'll catch the rest of the show on Rewind. No worries. Thanks. Have a great night.
You too, Kev.
Thank you. Okay, let me come back to you, Scott, because I know you want to show us all something.
Yeah, if you like McFarlane art, there's an artist edition that came out from IDW. So a lot of my pages are in here. So this one, so the one that Ruben just showed is just right here. And what's nice is it's 1-to-1 ratio. So this is an 11:17 by page, and it's here in the art in that way. So this is like a great, if you like McFarlane art, this is a really good investment. And there's several covers. This is the
lift up the cover more, Scott. Yeah, put it up more. Yeah, look at that. That's the cover. You can't forget that cover.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very cool.
I do not have that cover. That's in the regret pile. I never had a shot at it, I don't think, but that's a.
I believe Joe Lee has that one.
Yeah, Joe has it.
That's Joe has that, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, and before I show the next one, let me just check the comments again real quick. Anthony's triple vertical splash. That middle panel, Spidey on gargoyles. Yes, of course. Thomas says, nice page. It certainly is. Love this edition. Got it for Christmas last year. There you go. You cannot have that. If you're a big McFarlane fan, you cannot not have that, Thomas, you got to get that book. Is it still available? Do you remember, Scott?
It is. Last time I went to IDW's website, it was still available.
Okay. Yes, Joe. Cap's still here. Okay, excellent.
Cab always says he's gonna leave, but he can't resist.
I know, he always does that. Like, okay, this time for sure, guys. I love it. I love when he's here. He always has great things to say. So, okay, perfect. So let us get to the next piece, everyone. From there, we're doing a bit of a change that you wouldn't probably expect. And I want to hear what you have to say about this, Scott, because it kind of surprised me to see this in your collection. So, tell us a little bit about this. Transformers Headmasters #1. I bought this off the stands myself by Frank Springer. And just FYI, everybody, so for all of you who may not know, the inkers are Akin and Garvey. It's Ian Akin and Brian Garvey. They were actually an inking duo. They were an inking team. So you hired them as a team. I never did get to see or read an interview with either of them, which I always wanted to, because I always wanted to know what exactly was the division of labor between them. but I never got to hear or read anything for them to sort of reveal how they divided the labor. But yeah, they were always an inking team. And in recent years, I have actually seen that they are not together anymore. And I believe I saw, I don't know, one of them. I forget if it was Ian Akin or if it was Brian Garvey, but one of them I saw in the credits of a book by themselves. So, but yeah, sorry. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about this one, Scott.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, some of the toys I played with were Shogun Warriors. I had a ROM toy. I had the $6 Million Man, and had a fair number of Transformers. So, and I watched the Transformer cartoons. So, I've been just picking up some Shogun pages, and Derek Crabb has been a good, he's my go-to Transformer advisor. So I saw this page, and I liked just the action. I'm always up for a cool space scene. So you've got, a planet with rings there. I don't think it's Saturn, but maybe it is. And, you've got some cool ships coming out, and then a little bit of a scene, lots of robots in the sky. So what could be wrong with that?
No, absolutely.
And I bet Derek can tell you all about Akin and Garvey. He probably knows some intricacy there that he's probably done a YouTube video on that already.
Pad Bear, no worries. He's saying sorry to both of us. Scott says it's been great watching, but he's in Wales. It's 2 a.m. in Wales already. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Pad Bear. I appreciate the fact that you tuned in all the way
Check
from
us
Wales.
on Rewind.
Yeah, exactly. Finish it off on Rewind when you have a little bit of time. And there's Derek, Fortress Maximus. But let's see here. So just log on. Headmasters, what kind of show is this? John, what's up, John? It's a show about everything. It's a McSpidey has, in spite of his name, he has quite a much more well-rounded collection, shall we say, than most people would give him credit for, because they make assumptions because of the name. You see, that's the problem. It's people making assumptions. But yes, we're trying. I'm trying to show a well-rounded view of what he's got. And you still get a lot of Spidey and McFarlane stuff anyways. But Gen 1, absolutely Gen 1. Tariq says, loved Akin and Garvey on Salby Summer and Rom. Me too, Tariq. Yeah, that was...
I've got some of those pages as well.
Yeah, nice slick work by those guys back then. By the way, hello, Chuck Arnold. It's good to see you here tonight. And we need a room tour of your art books, buddy, okay? Oh, Fortress Maximus just jumped on to say hi, Scott.
Hey, James.
Wanted to say hi from James. Yeah, doesn't want to say hi.
No
to me,
DPSs so far.
No DPSs so far, and don't hold your breath for that. Marvel loved to stick Frank Springer on the Hasbro properties. I know, because he worked cheaper, I think, in those days, which was kind of a bad choice, because he had a sort of dirty-ish style. Not clean line style, which is kind of what you need for like robots especially. But I guess they cleaned it up by having inkers like Akin and Garvey, who are very slick. So I guess that's probably why. Hey, James. Hey, so cool to see you here. What's up, James? What's up, man? I'm just yanking your chain. That's so funny. And I would go Kmart every day and just stare at the Transformers back then. Couldn't afford them, just dreamed. Hey, you and me both, bud. Oh my gosh, so funny. But yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Okay. So from there, we go to the next one. The next one being, I'm not sure, Scott, if you're aware of this. I got some info for you about this next page on the inking credits. Perhaps you just didn't have time and you already know, and you just never bothered to change it on your CAF gallery. But check this out. So this is McFarlane from the Spider-Man series, but it's not inked by McFarlane. It is inked by Rick Magyar. Had you already found that out, or is this news to you right now?
I know he did some in 12. I can't remember if it's 11 or 12. The one where McFarlane got sick and he dished out a bunch of pages to his image buddies. And Rick was a kind of a house inker, I guess, or something like that. And he pops up occasionally on McFarlane art.
Yeah.
Do
And
I have
actually, I don't know.
that Toddington on? Yeah, I may have done that wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And anyways, you
A
can
lot of
see
these
that this
pages
was
have been on CAF for like 20 years, so it's kind of like I kind of
oh
forget
yeah,
to go back and edit them. Yeah.
yeah. That's Rick's last name up right up there in black ink at the top left hand of the border. He wrote
Yeah, that'll do it.
Magyar.
That's always a good
Yeah.
indication. Yeah, when they put their name.
But I mean, I could tell from the inking anyways. It was very brushed inks. I could tell it was not McFarlane inking. So, yeah. But yeah, spectacular. I thought this was great. 2-panel page. I've, like most people in love with the whole, anybody who loves Wolverine loves Hulk 181. If you love Hulk 181, you also kind of fall in love with the Wendigo character. So it's like they're intertwined. So Wolverine and or with Wendigo and or with the Hulk. I think a lot of people always love it. So that's why I love this. And yeah, I don't know. Got any stories behind this page or the acquisition of this page or what you love about it?
No, I honestly don't remember the sequence of when I got stuff. This a lot of these for the longest time, the ASM pages sold maybe 10 to 1, and maybe as much as 20 to 1 to the Spider-Man pages, and then even more to like some of the DC pages. So I would pick up Infinity Inc. pages or Batman pages from McFarlane for literally like $50 or $100. So I would just buy those like candy. So I ended up with like hundreds of those. I think I had like 80% of the Infinity Inc. pages at one point. I've since sold those. They weren't my top priority, but it was a good. Ended up being a I was just kind of like anything that was out there, I would just vacuum up. Also, as I was pretty transparently creating scarcity. So I figured if I can go, there's not a lot of this art out there. If you do the math, if you kind of think about pre-image McFarlane, there's not a lot out there, and if I could go own a big chunk of it, that would create scarcity. I don't know what factor I played in that whole thing, but it probably was a factor. So I ended up with a lot of Spider-Man pages because they were just like a fraction. I would get them for 500, and the ASMs would be 3,000. So I could get 6 for 1 on those. So I would every year I would get 6 or 10 of those, and I would get 1 or 2 ASMs. So So this is great because, McFarlane didn't do Wolverine except in this little part of the Spider-Man run. So that's fun. And, it's a good action page here. You've got him unconventionally breaking the panel. It's got that Spider-Man kind of black border. And then you've got Wolverine's hands coming out there, which is cool. And then, Wendigo just smashes him here, which is great. It's like, and there's so much action going on. You can't like see the specifics, all the action lines popping out.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and I know that most people would be like, oh well, it's but it's not McFarlane inks, you can tell. But I gotta give props to Rick Magyar. I really love his inks on this. They're very brushy, very Al Williamson-ish for anybody who knows Al Williamson's work and enjoys it. Yes, I would not typically get somebody like purposely get somebody like Magyar to ink McFarlane, but it's still a really nice result. So I think it's really, really great. Beautiful page, actually. So excellent.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. Well, thank you for allowing us all to share in it. From there, we actually are I'm throwing a curveball again, and that's I guess we'll show all of you something that you wouldn't expect. And here, take a look at this. I love this because I love the period clothing. That's why I wanted to show this. Take a look at this, everyone. The Department of Truth number 14 cover, variant by David Nakayama from a couple of years ago. And just got to ask you one thing, Scott, because I know that when you scan, I know from experience, a lot of experience, when you scan colored work, the scanner light screws around with some of the colors. How accurate is this pinkish scan to the original? Is it more pink than red?
It definitely is. Yeah, this is a super light pink, so it's somewhere between the two colors you have here. It is a painted piece, which is kind of neat. I think this is one of Annabelle's artists, and I liked this Department of Truth storyline, and I really liked the artist, and had been looking for a couple of things from David. And then this one, I just really liked the treatment and the color, and yeah, and the timing was kind of right for what I was looking for.
Yeah. Is this series still ongoing, or was it already, has this ended?
I kind of bailed on it after a while, after about pretty close to this issue, and I think I've seen art. Mikhail would probably know if he's still with us. He keeps track of. He's got kind of an encyclopedia of modern art.
Yeah, oh, that's for sure. That's for absolute certainty. Yeah, no, I love it. Love the clothing. I just, oh man, I love that. Yeah, I love the fashions. From let's say 60s, 50s, and going backwards. Yeah, especially women's fashions. So just seeing this, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to show this just for that reason, quite Hepburnish, yeah, with the next arc. Yeah, very, very cool. So yeah,
Roman Holiday,
great movie. All right. So from there, we are going back into the mainstream, everybody, and we are going to check out another X-Men piece. Here we go, from 152. It's page 24. Of course, that includes the ads. By filled-in penciler Bob McLeod and inker Joe Rubinstein from 1981. And I just have something to say real quick before you say what you got to say, Scott. I was always a fan of Bob McLeod's inks, and when I saw him take over or start New Mutants with Chris Claremont, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is great classic sort of Marvel type art, and it was cool to see that he could pencil as well as ink. And so when I saw him, and of course for me this was a back issue, but when I saw it, I was like, wow, yeah, this I like this art. It doesn't actually stray very far from what Cockrum was doing at the time. It's keeping with the steady look. And I subsequently found out that Bob actually had been asked to take over. He had the opportunity to take over as the regular artist on Uncanny X-Men, but didn't, because he got the opportunity to start the new title of X-Men characters called The New Mutants with Claremont. And that's why that happened. But yeah, this could have led to him becoming having at least a brief run of sorts on the X-Men title, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't know. Hellfire Club is awesome, so it's always fun to watch the henchmen do their thing. You've got I really got it for the Cyclops shot at the top from Marcus. I was kind of hoping to see what he would comment on that. Just kidding. You got a team shot up there, so good little team action going on. Mike Crawler escaping from the right of the panel.
He has commented, but all he said was Cyclops.
Yes.
That's all you need to say. That's all you need to hear from Marcus. Yes. You know what he thinks.
Yeah, we all know what he's going to say. But then, the bottom, you've got, Wolverine one-on-one with a, Hellfire guy who clocks him, claws out. And then, Wolverine lets him go. The guy's almost goading him to kill him. And Wolverine shows a rare moment of, holding back and letting the guy live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great Wolverine-centric page for sure, especially from this time period. Oh, man. This is
you love this uniform, and that side panel, like panel 3 and 4, where you see kind of the side of Wolverine, is really cool. That's very true to that Cockrum kind of style. Yeah, absolutely. Then Cyclops is just the worst, the terrible leader. Oh, come on, man. Everybody loves Cyclops. Give him his due. Classified. Nice one, Rick. Not enough Cyclops on this page, says Marcus. More Cyclops. More cowbell.
We all need more Cyclops. Bob did well on the mutants, on the New Mutants. It's one of the hallmarks of his career. Yeah, I loved it. I never did get to ask him though why he gave up the opportunity to do X-Men to do New Mutants, but then even when he did New Mutants, he even gave that up pretty quickly. I think he only did the 6 issues before allowing Sal Buscema to take over, and then he only inked it. You know, I never did ask him why he gave up the penciling and to just be the inker. But I don't know, kind of interesting. I'd have to. I want to ask him one day. Such a great page, love it. This page would be killer if Cyclops wore the red dress. Nice. Absolutely not. Cyclops is awful. Dan, just so you know, it's because it's going over your head. A lot of people here hate Cyclops like you do. A lot of people are being facetious. That's all it is from a lot of people. Yeah, so you're not the only one, just so you know. And he'll be at Heroes Con. So you know what, Dan? Do me a favor and ask him on my behalf, and then come back to the show and let us know why he stopped being the penciler after only half a dozen issues on New Mutants. All right, do us the favor if you can remember. So yeah, awesome page, really love it. Very, very cool. And from there, we're going to go back to another awesome page, which is back to the McSpidey land. Everybody check this one out. Amazing Spider-Man, again, an issue 300 page 8 from 1988. And not only do you get a magical shot of Spidey, which you're always looking for that key shot with these McFarlane pages, but I think it's really cool that you also get, because me, I care about the actual sort of backstories with the human characters. So I think it's really cool that even though he's only in one panel, Spidey, I mean, I think it's really cool that the other panels have, Peter Parker and Mary Jane, which at the time was a very loving couple. I was happy they were married. Yeah, to me, this is superb. So I don't know. What do you think, Scott? I mean, you own it, so I know you must love it to some level.
Yeah, I don't, you know how it is. I think what resonates with us is we all have families and everything. And, imagine being a superhero and trying to put in your family time. So here Peter's kind of like committed to spend more time with Mary, with MJ. And then she's like going to be gone. And he's just like, takes him 5 seconds and he's out the window in his Spidey suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got the classic, so black Spidey, spaghetti webbing. One fun thing about this page is the cityscape in the bottom is all paste up. So the art, the Spidey and the little arc behind him and all the webs are that's art on the board, and then the city is paste up to give it that kind of grainy look.
Right.
It's almost like it was drawn and then run through a Xerox machine.
Right.
They used to call them something else, and then kind of like cut up and put in there. It's kind of interesting. I love the production elements of these pages that we get.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, that was the most common way of doing it. They would grab photos and put it through the photostat machine and then paste it over.
Yeah, photostat. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, that's it. James wants to know.
Mimeograph.
Yeah, right. James wants to know if this is a claim show. He's ready with his finger on the pulse.
Not a claim show.
None
of the art shown is for sale.
There you go. And and you said that with such seriousness. I love it.
Yeah.
Todd's version of Mary Jane is the best. I mean, look, we all have our favorites. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's just cool. Great. Yeah, Ian, great page. Absolutely. Good Lord, the beauty. Amazing page. My gosh. I remember one Marvel fan is just freaking. Above Peter panel. I got to say, only because Wes, hey, Wes, by the way, only because Wes brings it up, I specifically have a memory of when I turned to this page when I was reading it as it came out. I was kind of pissed off. I was like, looking at that second panel, I was like, oh man, that's not Peter. Like he doesn't have that kind of thick muscularity. It's more lean muscle. He's got to be taller, more slender. I was kind of pissed. I was like, nah, man, he's too thick there in that one panel. And I still remember that. But whatever. It's one panel, no big deal.
It's the symbiote puffing him up a little bit. You can always blame everything on Venom. It's a symbiote. You can always blame everything on a symbiote.
Right.
The symbiote is in there giving him abs.
Good evening to you, Dan.
Good to see you. He's not wearing
it. I think Scott is spinning the wheel at the end and giving a piece away. Yeah, I don't think so. Not bloody likely. I don't have Cyclops on this page. Nice. It's the post-COVID.
Cyclops will be making a play for MJ.
Yeah. Thomas says the cartooning just juxtaposed with the Xerox photo background really adds a lot to put the reader in Spidey's skin. Yeah, it's a cool. Yeah, it's actually absolutely. It makes it so realistic. It's very cool. Okay. From there, before we go to the next piece, everybody, let me just remind you all to please tune in to Nikki B's show, The Original Art Experience, this Friday and every Friday. And the experience is a combination sales show, claim show, if you will, / talk show, where Nikki B focuses on selling or offering affordable art for not only for newer collectors, entry-level collectors, but also for, well, anybody really. And occasionally has higher-end art as well. And you can tune in to this coming Friday's show specifically by going directly to the link that I just popped into the chat. And that will take you directly, so you can either subscribe or set notifications or bookmark it, whatever you choose to do. And there you go. That's this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Okay, so from there, everybody, let us hit the next piece in our show and tell. And from there, we go to a very classic book that I think all of us probably have read and maybe own. And I think probably all, if not most, if not all of us, there's always some exceptions, loved. And that would be this piece, 1994. Takes us back, oh my God, almost 30 years already. Marvel's. Yeah, it's insane. Number 1, the 15th page from the first issue by Alex Ross. To this day, the book that I think a lot of fans think he has not matched. It's still everybody, like a lot of people's favorite work of his, you know?
Yeah, what's the European auction site? Its name escaped me.
There's actually a few, my gosh. I always forget their names because there's so many, and I never pay attention to those ones.
Catawiki.
Oh, Catawiki. Okay, that's
I remember. It's so weird. Yeah, so I have alerts on, obviously, artists I like you guys do, across all these different things. And then, I started acquiring some art over, as I started hunting for McFarlane stuff. A lot of this great art from the 90s has leaked over to Europe, and I like to say I try to liberate some of it and bring it back home here to North America. And I got this alert for an Alex Ross page, and I've never been able to, afford Alex Ross Spidey. In Spidey world, he always does those cool covers, and I've always admired them, but never been able to afford one. And this came up, and I have never seen a Marvel's page. I need to poke around CAF and other places to see how many are out there. But it was an auction, and I ended up winning it, and it took forever for the art to come, and it came in a tube, which is I've always learned with Europeans now to very specifically say, I'll pay more if you'll ship it flat, because I hate flattening out art that is shipped in a tube. And much to my surprise, I didn't put it on the listing, and I don't have it handy, but I had to put this in this giant portfolio I have, because it's huge. It's bigger than Twice Up art. It must be 20 something. It's just huge. It blew my mind. Even the listing didn't say how big it would be, but I guess it's because it's painted. Yeah. It's just, it's twice an 11 by 17.
At least twice an 11 by 17. Really?
I was shocked.
Have you since found out if
I think that's why they put it in a tube?
Oh,
this is the only Alex Ross page I have, and I kind of stumbled upon it and got really lucky. I probably wouldn't have bought it if it didn't have the one little hero in the upper middle panel. Because just the talking heads wouldn't have been interesting. But then when you add that in, and you have the published page, which is handy. This is kind of someone seeing a superhero for the first time, and the guy's popping into kind of the newsroom, I guess, or whatever that is, and being like, you're not going to believe what's going on here. There's some guy in tights, running around. So just fun. And then in that fourth panel, you can see his cape over there, but you can see the outline, which is just kind of a very cool, he's People didn't really see him that much, but they can see like a little evidence of him.
Yeah, Marcus says that this is Phil Sheldon before he became a Cyclops. Nice.
But I like this book too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what I like about this page is, like you say, it's got at least that one panel of a superpowered character kind of jumping a building. And what I really like about it is actually the fact that this is Marvel. Yet when I saw that, the second I turned to this page, I was like, huh? Oh, Superman, the first hero ever, Superman. And right? And I literally momentarily forgot that I was reading. Of course, it can't be Superman. This is not DC, you know? But I thought Superman. I think they purposely wanted to make it look that way. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I think that's really neat, actually. Gil says, I prefer Jim Lee's pencil and Scott Williams on separate. Why are we talking about that? Wow, I think your feed is way behind, Gil. I just enjoy studying the artist's original art. I may be in the minority here. Gil, do me a favor, Gil. Hit the refresh button on your browser, because I think you're way, way back. We're still on the live stream, and the Jim Lee page we saw was quite a while back. So I think you're really far back. So it's okay if you want to watch from where you're watching, but the thing is if you make comments, they're kind of like out of context because you're so far looking at stuff that we already talked about a long time ago. Okay, thank you. The second panel perspective is great. It is. The newsroom is a bunch of early Atlas guys, right? I don't know. Is it? It could be.
I totally missed that reference.
Down. Let's see. We'll do the okay. Gil is from the past.
Ruben, since you like Cockrum, have you seen the 122 cover on Comic Link right now? It's just kind of fun.
I have. It's amazing. Beautiful. It's one of my. It was one of my favorite covers of the run, even though it's not from the Burne. I like Burne stuff better than Cockrum, but that is one of my favorite covers. And with the Austin inks, nice. Plus I love Colossus and Wolverine. Pretty much my top two favorite. X-Men. Oh my gosh! And I always love any scenes of these guys working out in the danger room. So that makes it extra special. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what do you think it goes for? Do
you have a prediction? It's at I don't even 101 right now.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I was thinking like 175-ish.
I don't know. I think it could push 200. These don't come up. Think about how rare
no, I know. What I was going to say was that I wouldn't be surprised if because there is a little bit of a weakness in the market. Like there's people I can tell are holding back from spending. So I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if it ended in between 150 and 175, but only because people are kind of holding back. But it wouldn't also shock me if it hit $250,000. So whatever. Yeah, I typically don't bother prognosticating because in the end, let's just see what happens and then we'll know for sure what it goes for. That's my attitude. Yes, Gil is definitely not live. That's definitely an unlicensed Superman appearance, unless it's the Sentry. There you go. Gil, did you finally figure out you were way behind? Did you refresh? Tell me you refreshed, please. Oh, you're coming from the past, I think. Yeah. Okay. Very well, everyone.
Gil's a time traveler.
He's a time traveler. And speaking of time travel, we're going to travel forward in time from published in 1994, but taking place. When was Marvel's taking place? It really started at the 1961, right? It started with the advent of the Marvel heroes, right? So probably
it has 61. Like a late 50s, early 60s vibe. Yeah, Mad Men kind of like vibe with the. Do you see the way they were dressed, like with the hats, the bowlers, and all that jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll jump from the setting of the early 60s, and we'll jump to the modern era to check out this one piece somebody mentioned before. Any double page splashes or whatever? Well, this is kind of your double page splash here. Let's check this out, everyone. It is from Free Comic Book Day, Spider-Man Venom from 2019. Great double page splash by Ryan Ottley and Nathan Fairbairn. And let's do the Dance Monkey Dance Syndrome that we always like to do here. All right, check it out. Strobe effect. Woo! Very, very cool piece. Tell us a little bit about this one, Scott.
Yeah, I like Ottley's treatment of Spidey. On my list is kind of like a beat up Spidey. No one does beat up superheroes better than Ottley. If you've watched the Invincible streaming series, you see that.
I haven't.
Very graphic.
I haven't. Is it really good? Is it really
it's
good?
Very
because
graphic.
A few months.
Okay. Yeah,
okay,
I enjoyed it. It's
I,
different than the story, so some purists may hate that, but that doesn't bother me.
Oh, okay. Because I just want to make it known to you. I've mentioned it on my show before, but several months ago, probably like earlier in early 2023, I sat and binged the Invincible series, the 144 issue run. I binged it over like a few days. Oh, I gotta tell you, let me just come back real quick. Sorry, everybody. It's probably for me I have to say, shockingly, because it's not Marvel or DC, characters that I really grew up with, but I have to give it props because probably the longest run of any comic in which I felt the quality was at least consistent, if not occasionally improved. Never in the entire run that I feel there was a lull where I was like, this is getting crap now. I don't know if I should keep going, which always happens to me with every run, at some point. But 100 and whatever, 44 issues or whatever, like I loved it. Just fantastic. So I was kind of like, I don't know if I have time, but at some point I'll have time. Should I watch the show? Is it if I love the series, the comic book series,
try
would I at
season
least
1, episode 1. It's got crazy pacing, so you don't have to wait for like 3 episodes for it to get good. Like you'll know within 10 minutes if you like it or not. And I think if you like the comic, you're gonna like it. It like takes it, the comic's kind of like pretty crazy, and it's probably cranked up to 11 on that. So yeah.
Wow, really? Wow. So it must be like
if you like
over.
Oh yeah, it's quite adult. Okay. It's kind of like almost Kill Bill levels of graphic violence and blood splatter and stuff. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks
Unless
everybody
you're turned
for
off then you should not watch it.
Sounds good. Let's get back to this. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So I'm always I'm always trying to get an artist I like on Spidey, and to me, this is great. So you got Spidey in the center, really cool 3D version of him. McFarlane spaghetti webs, which is always checks a box for me. And then I always love kind of a Sinister Six kind of setup. I know this isn't the Sinister Six, but you got Venom in there, and you've got kind of the modern bad guys in the kind of bottom right with Goblin and whatnot. And then you've got some of the new characters from the multiverse in there as well with Spider-Gwen and whatnot.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like,
this is DPS.
Right,
can't go wrong.
Yeah. If you look right underneath Spidey, I was like, okay, isn't that another like a super? That's a hero character, not a villain, right? It's another of the Spider-Verse type spider characters.
Yeah, he's the one. I forget his name. They all have complicated names. My favorite is Spider-Punk. He is sadly not on here, but he's kind of like, I think they call him 8-leg spider, if I recall. Yeah, he's 8-leg spider or something like that. Yeah, and then what's really cool is that you look at it, and then the other thing I love about our hobby is when you look at art, you kind of see, the more you look at it, the more you see. And what's really cool is Spider-Man really pops because of the background of Venom. Like look at how big Venom is, and he kind of forms a background on the whole 2/3 left of the page for the other characters, which is pretty cool.
Yep,
it's like Godzilla Venom back there. He must be freaking huge if he's he should be getting small that far back, but he's actually giant.
Yeah.
Just fun.
George says that he believes the guy's name is Superior Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, George would know better than I do.
Yeah. Marcus says Spidey long legs. I'm pretty sure that's not a serious comment. Superior Spider-Man is the Superior Spider-Man is the Doc Ock Spidey. Oh. Is Doc Ock still a Spider-Man? Jesus, I can't even.
I think he's back. I think Stegman is doing. I saw on his socials he's doing a Superior. I don't know if it's a ongoing thing or what. Yeah.
Okay.
Just recently, he did like an alt cover for a Superior. There's like a. I think they're bringing back the Ultimate line, so they may have an Ultimate Superior. You know how Marvel does; they like to recycle stuff, and then like
yeah.
No, they love to print a new number one. So there's right now there's a new number one Ultimate Spidey out, and and then I think there's a Superior kind of in that mix, and they rebooted 2099.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Just want to say, Carlos, I have read it, but I didn't finish it. It's funny because I loved it early on. I loved it, and I told everybody about it. Nobody had heard about it. I was a horror movie fan, and so I like zombies. But what I loved about it was that the series, it was actually, as soon as you start reading it, you find out it's not about zombies, and I was happy. I don't want it to be. Who cares about zombies walking around? It ended up becoming about the humans and what they got to do to survive. But I got to say, I ultimately just end up getting tired of it. I think I bought the first, I want to say, 16 trades. And I think I stopped reading after the 12th one. I haven't read the last 4 that I bought or whatever. And then I just never bought the rest of them. I just kind of got, I don't know, it just kind of got tired of it or whatever. And and that was that. Same thing. Yeah. I just want you to know, Carlos, same thing about the TV show. I enjoyed the first, I want to say 4 or 5 seasons. I watched up until the second to last season, still haven't watched the last one. But I hate watched it for the last, I don't know, probably at least 6 seasons, 5 or 6. I hate watched it. Whatever. I just kind of got tired of it, and I hated a lot of the things they did with the characters and whatever. Yeah, there you go. I'm not sure why you're asking. But you say the TV show was hit or miss. Yeah, I guess for a lot of people, and George says, yep, Slott just brought Superior Spider-Man back. Okay. Slott, isn't that the guy who wrote Spidey for like 10 years? Dan Slott. I heard he was on the title for like a decade. Anyways, whatever. Okay. Everyone, let us move on to the next piece. And from that Spidey piece, we go back to the past to another Spidey piece. Let's check this one out. Everybody will appreciate this. I know that. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 315, the 8th page. Again, pencils and inks by Todd McFarlane, 1989. Dropping out of the sky and landing like a spider. So cool, man. What can you tell us about this one, Scott?
Yeah, here, being a superhero is tricky, keeping your secret identity. So Peter has to sneak into at this point, he lives in a house. So he lands quickly in his backyard, which is kind of the money shot here. Very cool landing. You've got that. McFarlane does these interviews where he kind of says he always tried to have to make it more 3D. He always tries to have things in all different planes. So here you see his hand in the back, even though it doesn't need to be in the one in the front here, to give you that 3D perspective. And his fingers are all twisted, McFarlane style, and then he like shoots out of the bushes into the little window into his dark room here. So just kind of a fun, day in the life of Peter Parker. Dude's life's pretty tough.
Sure.
It's a weird way to come back from work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good night, Vivian. Have a good night.
Night, Vivian.
And Scott says good night too. Okay. He's screaming. I heard that. Okay. What do you mean, Carlos, by what's the McGrail? Are you asking Scott if he has a McFarlane Grail? Okay, might as well. In case that's what you're asking, why don't we just make that official? Scott, do you have one?
There's a pyramid of things in my world at McSpidey. So I'm very fortunate to have 3 or 4 Venom pages. There's another 3 that I would love to have that are panel pages. And then, the Grailist of Grail would be like the Jolie, the cover of this book. That would be, if I really, everyone uses Grail a lot, but like if I was going to have the pinnacle of Grails, my Mount Everest, the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. Yes. Whatever it
Yes.
is, the one page to rule them all would be,
Yeah.
the Venom cover.
The Venom cover. Okay, good answer. There you go, Carlos. Hopefully that's what you were asking.
I have no idea what that's
Vivian,
worth, but
Jason Ladwig also says good night. Yeah, sorry, Scott. What did you last say? I think you said.
I don't know what that's worth, but that's out of my reach. So always fun to dream, though.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's got to be worth a heck of a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
I think
excellent.
having a page worth that much would freak me out. So I'm in some ways.
Be
careful what you ask. I don't know what
I
do or something like that. I'd probably lock it somewhere and never look at it again.
Yeah, I totally understand you, Scott. I totally understand you. I'm playing on a much smaller level than you are, so even I, part of the reason I've told my story many times. A lot of the pieces I've had in my collection, and I end up getting rid of them. A lot of the reasons that I've done that, there's always multiple reasons, but a big part of the reason is often it's because it gets to a point where certain pieces gets into that like high 4-figure range or low 5-figure range, and that makes me start feeling nervous. And I just don't like the idea of having so much money tied up into single pieces of paper that in a fire or with water damage, like it. I don't know. It just doesn't make me feel comfortable. Bottom line, that's what it is. So Bootlegging says, that reminds me, there are Grummet pages coming up at Heritage. Thank you, Bootlegging. I appreciate that. I have my friends who keep emailing me to tell me whenever they see things coming up on Heritage, because they know I don't bother to look by myself. Yeah, thank you. There's always something for everybody coming up on Heritage, isn't there? So yeah, there you go. But it's interesting, Scott. Did you see the comment that I put up earlier from Mark? Let me put up again. I always love Pete's droopy dog face more than the Spidey image. Not many people will you hear say that. I
think McFarlane's on the record saying, he would kind of rush through human faces. He's much more into drawing the heroes. So
yeah, absolutely. And
have you ever listened to this Artist Kayfabe podcast, Ruben?
Oh yeah, sometimes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they have a couple really good McFarlane ones. One, they go through this art book. There's another one where they go through issue, I think it's 11, where all the different inkers and they try to guess the inkers, and it's really interesting to hear artists kind of guess the inkers because they look at things we know about like hatching, but then they look at a couple other aspects. It's just kind of like a whole nother level of the hobby when they cover some of the OA topics. And obviously I'm drawn to their coverage of McFarlane. So if you search for Artist Kayfabe, Kayfabe, I don't know what a kayfabe is. I haven't ever Googled that, some kind of like get together or something. I don't know what a kayfabe is, but that's not their names. But it's a really good podcast, especially when they cover, OA, which they do maybe every 12 or so.
Yeah, it's
someone just recently sent a bunch of Heritage. Yeah, Jim Rugg and
Ed Piscor.
Yeah,
Ed Piscor, one of the two guys who did this.
One of his
for anybody who's not aware of this, and X-Men Grand Design. We actually Scott had a when I say we, I mean we and all our friends here in the chat had a little bit of a discussion a few weeks back. I remember in one of my episodes where it came up, and that's what we were kind of discussing. Like, what the hell is a kayfabe, or how do you pronounce it? Is it kayfabe? Is it kayfabe, or what? And when you don't know what something means, it makes it harder to pronounce. You're like, what is that? Yeah, so it's kind of funny, but a lot of us know about the channel. Yeah, those guys are good. They do some pretty good content too. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. So before I show the next piece, the show's not about me, it's about Scott. So, but it's a quick answer. I don't have one, so I'll answer it, Carlos, just because of that. No Grummet Grail. I will say that one that I really, really, really wanted was the first cover he did when he started his run on Titans, when he took over for George Perez. And that's number 58 of New Titans, and I acquired that this year, and I have it on my channel as an unboxing, so you should check that out if you haven't seen it. Inked by George. So there you go. It's a wrestling term. Yeah, that's what you guys said last time. But I mean, what the heck does it mean? So kayfabe is a wrestling term. Okay, but yeah, what does it mean though? I love the kayfabe interview with Tim Truman. Of course you would, because you love Tim Truman, of course. Yeah, I haven't seen that one actually. Now, one day there's just there's too much great stuff out there, too much content, too little time. That's the problem, I'd love to see more of their stuff. But okay. Everybody, let's move on to the next piece. And the next piece from that one goes to this one. X-Men number 268, page 19, the famous 268 issue by Jim Lee and Scott Williams from 1990. Very, very Wolverine-centric. How could you not love this if you're a Wolverine and or X-Men and or Jim Lee Scott Williams fan? Right, Scott?
Yeah. There's so this was on my list of things I wanted to get, and I wanted a Wolverine. Ideally, I would have claws out, but that didn't happen. There's a I think it's Rabid Ferret wrote an article, and just like McFarlane art, you can actually do a census, right? And he went through all the Jim Lee X-Men pages that exist, and he said, here's how many there are. There's, maybe like 10% of those have Wolverine, and then 10% of those have claws out. So it ends up being like maybe 5 or 10 pages at the end of the day, which is really cool about our hobby. You can get to scarcity. It's already pretty scarce, but you can get to like crazy scarcity very quickly.
I'm sorry, Scott. Let me interrupt you for a second. I'm so sorry. Did you just say, because I didn't catch everything, and I was also trying to focus on these guys in the chat. Did you just say that in the entire Jim Lee X-Men run that there are only 10 pages with Wolverine with his claws showing?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it for the chat. Marcus, I'm sure, knows exactly what I'm talking about. So this dude, Rabid Ferret, he's a big Wolverine fan. Yeah, and he has recorded all the Jim Lee pages that are X-Men pages, including not only the OG run here, but also the 1+. And so there's X number of pages from those, and then he says Wolverine. I can't remember their numbers, but you get to a very small number of actual original art panel pages that have Wolverine in them, and then of that, there's an even smaller subset that have Wolverine in uniform, claws out, kind of thing. So I always knew I wanted, one of these was on my list, and a McFarlane friend of mine said he had regretted, I can't remember the exact story, but he had regretted saying, he had sold me a bunch of pages and had regretted it and wanted some back and was willing to trade some stuff. So we worked out this multi-mega, I traded in 2 McFarlane Spidey pages I was willing to give up, and then I got a bunch of pages, and this was kind of the keystone of that trade. So this is relatively new to my collection, but as I said, I wouldn't be able to afford this today. I don't know what this is worth. After I got it, I actually didn't know this, but everyone was like, everyone, especially Nick Beese, was saying that this 268 is very sought out. I think there's 3 or 4 people trying to put the book back together, and they're you run across this ever that really ups the ante on these pages, and they're they're in kind of like a death match to get these pages. I did not know that. So apparently this has got a certain other level of scarcity because it's a favorite issue for a lot of people, and there's several collectors, pretty big whales in the market. I don't know who they are. All this is hearsay to me. This is not my world. If this was in the McFarlane world, I'd know all about it. So that just made it even kind of more fun to have in the collection. That I feel pretty lucky to have gotten this on a really good trade from a good McFriend.
You're very, very fortunate to have a page from this issue. Absolutely. And the fact that it has Wolverine on it, right? Claws in.
The trade made us so nervous. We flew to a midpoint and did a trade, and then went back home.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's the first time I'd done that too. So, but it was kind of cool. We had I got to hang out with him for 3 or 4 hours and just chat art and stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, that's fun. It's one of those experiences. You have that experience, the memory of that experience to always kind of think back on, in later years. So that's kind of cool. I gotta say though, if what you said is correct about 3 or 4 guys wanting to try to put the book together, if there's that many guys wanting to put the book together, then it's never going to get put back together. Right?
Depends on who the youngest is and the healthiest, probably.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's going to come down to age and death, life and death, That's funny. Carl, let's see. Scott will be the belle of the trying to complete 268 ball. When all those guys come back to him to try to get that last page, Yeah, and George says, great page from a sought after issue. It absolutely is. Yeah. Sorry to say, those 3 or 4 whales that are out there looking to complete this, it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen because you're all in competition with each other. So only one can have it all. That means all of you, except for one, would have to be willing to give in, and you'd all want to get prices through the nose over and above market value. So yeah, it's never going to happen. So we'll see whatever happens. Okay. With that, everyone, let us get to the next piece in this wonderful so far show and tell. Really exciting, a lot of great art. And from one great, well, not just one, many great artists we've seen so far, to another great artist and well beloved by all of us, the master himself, top shelf, Freddie. I've always loved Fred Hembeck since the late 70s. Well, I wasn't collecting back then, but again, through DC back issues, seeing his work in those books, and then Marvel Age. Yeah, I've always just loved. Oh, and the Fantastic Four roast. God, I wish I had that cover. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this one, because I know it's a new acquisition for you. So tell us, for those of us who don't know how you acquired it or whatever, any story behind it. Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so like you, I remember these stories. When I was a kid, they would pop up in the Marvel books. I didn't remember the artist. I remember. Do you remember Did you read Spectacular Spider-Man? I think it was '86. He did a takeover of that one, which was really weird.
Yeah.
So we had Sal B through there. Yeah, and then suddenly had this cartoony.
Assistant editor month issue.
There's a Black Cat story. Yeah. That was kind of, at first I was like, oh, what's happening? But then I kind of dug it, his treatment of Black Cat and all was pretty funny. And then it kind of rekindled. So back before those little sketch cards were worth like $200 like they are now, Jeff Wedding would kind of send you some every once in a while. So Jeff and I were trading a page, or we went in on a Star Wars set of pages, and he sent, he got the shipping to him. He and I have liberated a lot of those pages out of Europe together, or with other groups. And then he would send you like a little sketch card with them. And I was like, I really dig these. And then I don't know if you know or not, but I think Wedding has single-handedly got like a group of 10 or 20 people like really collecting those little sketch cards, which has driven the price way up.
I do know. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I don't buy much unpublished stuff. So I've tried not to get into that craze. And, but I always was like, I wonder if I could ever get one of those published old pages. And I've looked for them, and they are very scarce. If you search Heritage, there's like maybe 5 or 10 that have been sold in the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, once every year and a half, maybe one. And, a lot of them aren't Spidey. So the scarcity level is very high. So I thought I would watch this. Bill over on CAF did a live thing with Hembeck, and I thought I would watch it. And there was a lot of really cool stuff. Most of it was unpublished kind of things. And there's a couple of published pages in there. And then this was in there, and I was like, well, this is kind of a once in a long time, opportunity, probably like 3 or maybe 6 year opportunity. So so I ended up winning it in a little auction there, and I couldn't be happier. So I've since then it's drawn out a lot of really interesting other Hembeck art. This is the fun thing about our hobby, is you post something to CAF, and it's like pulling this thread. You don't know what's going to come out on the other side. So I've I don't ever want to reveal anyone, but there's someone that has a good portion of that Spider-Man 86, and I've gotten to see some pages for that, which is really amazing, to see the OA from that. I don't think any of it's out there on CAF. So it's been a fun piece to add to the collection. Yeah. And it's got a Spidey 2099. So it's got kind of like, and it's got kind of a little fun cartoon there. So just a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, absolute fun.
And you get the twirly knees. Lots of twirly knees.
Yeah, no, yeah. You cannot not have the twirly knees if Hembeck's involved, right? It's absolutely awesome. Yeah, like I said, I've always loved his stuff. It's really great. Listen, before we get to the next piece, since it was brought up or at the beginning of the show, are you willing to sort of just to let everybody know? You had recently been announced. I was told as having something to do with I don't know. Bill seems to be trying to monetize CAF as a corporation, blah blah blah, and you have something to do with it now. You have a position of some sort. Would you want to talk about that, or what it is that you're doing with and or for CAF now?
Yeah. I'll give you the short version too. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've 4 companies. None of them in the collectible phase, except my
Get spiffy, everybody. Get spiffy.
Yeah, that's a car washing, so unrelated to our hobby.
It's unrelated, but I still want to give you a plug. Get spiffy, everyone.
Thanks.
Okay,
appreciate it. We're not in Canada, sorry. And my second company was an auction search engine. Kind of, whenever I tell the story of that, I also collect Star Wars stuff, and it was driven by my collecting of Star Wars and OA. In the early days of e-commerce, there was more auction sites than there were fixed price sites. So I built a search engine called Auction, or not me, but I built a company that did. And then ultimately, and it had selling tools for selling on eBay and Amazon. So I've been in the e-commerce world for a while, and I've been kind of nudging Bill and saying, hey, also in collectibles used to be this dark corner of entrepreneurship and has really become quite popular. So I don't know if you follow Golden Auctions, so the sports card world. There's a lot of that company has been, it got acquired by a private equity firm for billions of dollars. Yeah. So what used to be this kind of thing that everyone thought was this niche has now become a multi-billion-dollar hobby and business. Right. I don't know what Heritage is worth, but that's a very, their revenue's got to be like 300-400 million, and I bet they're just wildly profitable. They're a private company, but so I was thinking, this our little corner of the hobby seems small, but and I've done some math. I think there's probably $50 to $80 million a year of liquidity in OA, and that's starting to be a real market. So I was basically talking to Bill and saying, encouraging him to think about, what if you took CAF to kind of like this next level, what would that look like? And then, separate to that, he had come up with this idea for OAX, which is awesome. I got to meet Kazra, in that. And, I think it kind of gelled that this, I think Kazra shares the same view that I do. And he comes from the bio world. He also know they're entrepreneur, but a totally different kind of corner of entrepreneurship. So, it's kind of like one of those things, careful what you tell folks. And, at one point, Bill's like, I think you're right. I'm going to do this. And, could you help me out? And I was like, I'll help however I can. And it can't be my full-time job. I've already got, like 3 of those. So, but I'm happy to help. And I've tried to help give him some guidance on some corporate stuff and things like that. And it ultimately got to where it got serious enough. He was bringing on Kazra and asked me to join the board. So in startups, the board is there to really just give advice to the entrepreneur and the team and, help them make decisions and, and then as a company grows, a little corporate governance just to make sure that, everything's going right and there's no, running afoul of anything like that. Yeah, not even that. Just like, the first time you do something like that, there's a million mistakes you can make. So just kind of being like, don't set up the company this way, do it that way. It'll save you all these headaches and all these kinds of things. So that's it. Yeah. Okay. It's not like a day-to-day thing. It's like maybe once a month we'll kind of catch up. And then quarterly we'll have like a meeting and just make sure and just kind of see how the company's doing in that company.
Okay. Have you told them what I and millions of other people, no doubt, have told them over the years? You want to make CAF profitable, you need to find a way to convert from freebies to paid customers. Free to pay. Just convert and CAF would become profitable. Have you told him that?
He knows. Yeah. It's been a hobby, so it hasn't had the focus that it needs to do that. But I think the exciting thing for the hobby is, imagine a calf that can go, that does all the things we all have wanted to do for a while. Imagine you had a mobile app. Imagine, all those things.
Mobile.
I think it's got
just mobile alone.
We'd all upload a lot more art if we could just kind of take a quick, if there was a scanner in the camera, it's not going to be as pretty as using traditional scanners, but scanners are very cumbersome, and the scanning process takes forever and all that stuff. So, just imagine, so I think all that's coming. So it's going to be exciting change for the hobby.
You say he's talked about being serious about revamping the site, or because I would think you have to.
I think he's been pretty open about that. That's been in some press releases and stuff. I'm not speaking out of turn here, but that's I think he's I think in some of the press releases, I think in the Kazra press release, he specifically says, look, we're gonna really kind of take things to the next level here.
Oh, okay. Well, let's
Bill's a product guy, so at the end of the day, it'll be so having Kazra as a CEO to kind of like take care of all the gobbledygook that happens in CEO land, and free Bill up to be the product guy. Right now he's the product guy, the content guy, and the CEO. So prior to Kazra, so this will free him up to go do a lot of cool product stuff.
Okay. And I'm just curious, what's Marcus talking about? He's either talking about some kind of COVID thing, or he's talking about costumes for dueling deals.
Marcus likes it when Bill wears a painful Captain America mask, and also he wants him to wear a leather mask, which is like some weird Marcus thing. And he also loves the Cyclops mask.
Okay,
Bill
there we go. Okay, well, thank you, Scott, for letting us all know what the connection there is. I appreciate it. Okay, everybody, why don't we? Tariq is confirming the cat mask. Okay. And #1 Marvel fan as well. Okay, let us get back to the show and tell, everyone. And from Hembeck, we will go to the Toddster one more time. Let's check this one out. Another fantastic page from Amazing Spider-Man 308. Again, page 16, penciled and inked by Todd McFarlane, 1988. I love all the blacks again here. And not only in the bottom, money shot panel, but I love all of it. I love cemetery scenes. This is fabulous. I love the back, the bitch slap of how he slaps the guy in the second panel. It's just fun. I don't know. I just love the whole thing's fun.
Yeah. Todd has a dark edge to him, and Marvel would let him sneak some in here, and here he like really maximizes it with a kind of creepy cemetery scene. Also, lots of fun words on there. Prax on the slap, and then the money shot with the moon and the broken biology, legs crazy Spider-Man. That's a great one. The whole thing. I just. And again, as we had spaghetti weapon stuff, yes, I had mentioned earlier as we looked at one of these pages, or no, I guess it was one of the Spidey, the Spidey pages of him with the gargoyle. This is an excellent example of the opposite, where rather than just the 3 vertical panels, you got 4 all horizontal, right? So I love both of those layout sequences, and this is an example of that. So. It's just very pleasing to the eye. I've always found, it makes the storytelling that much more clear, and a lot of fun. Jason, you're very welcome. Time for you to get to bed. Okay, have a good night, my friend. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest on Rewind. Just FYI, there's probably only a handful of pieces left that you're gonna have to catch up on. Okay, have a great week. Is the web spelling out gaps? I know you're joking, but where's the web? Oh, but that's so funny that it's kind of, I see it now that you say it. I see it. He's talking about thigh gaps, I think. Marcus also likes a good thigh gap, and this is a pretty big one.
No. But all the curled up webbing on his from his around you see that? Yeah, with his left hand.
Yeah.
It looks like you can see GAPS, That's hilarious.
Maybe Todd was thinking thigh gaps in '88.
Exactly, back then, That's so funny. #1 Marvel fan. Great taste on choosing the pages, Scott. Really nice pieces, buddy. Well, I'm the one who chose them. He chose to buy them. I chose to what you're seeing tonight. So I don't know what you're referring to, but yes, he chose to buy them. So obviously he deserves the credit. Rick says McMoney shot for sure. But again, as I say, it's not just about the money shot. I think the whole page is really, really cool. Yeah, so really, really nice. Great page, Scott. Okay, and from there, I couldn't not have at least one example of, you know, your favorite lifetime favorite franchise. So we had to go with one example of this. Don't ask me why I chose this. Well, I'll tell you. I love stormtroopers, and so that's why I decided to go with this one. Yeah, but I just wanted to show something in the Star Wars realm, and I do love Infantino and Day inking Infantino from 1978, the 18th issue, and yeah, figured I'd show something from Star Wars. I had to for you, so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the areas I've been trying to beef up in my collection is Star Wars art. You know, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and you know, hearing from Jeff some of the, you know, what he's doing with Star Wars art inspired me a bit to kind of like flesh out that part of my collection. And you know, as you mentioned, we had this kind of like drought of Star Wars content, and you know, if it weren't for the Marvel comics and the extended novels and those types of things, you know, we wouldn't have had anything. So I remember these stories. It's kind of fun to go back and read them and get the art. And you know, so I've probably got 15 or 20 pages from that, you know, that classic Marvel Star Wars run. And
you have that many?
Amongst those, yeah, I've been able to put together quite a bit. And you know, I really liked Infantino treatment as well. It's really good. And you know, the prices on those were pretty decent for a while. They've shot up. So kind of like 18, 19, 20, a little bit of 21, they were acquirable. And then now they've like really gotten to be, you know, very, very hard to get a hold of. Occasionally you'll see a Chaykin. I don't think I've been able to get a Chaykin. I think that was first 2 or 3 issues. Jeff would know better than I do. Those are much harder to come by, and those go for 5 to 6 figures, which has been daunting. But it's been fun to get some of these, and the wheel in space is a great part of this shot. And you got a little, you know, little hollow chess game going on, which is kind of fun there in the bottom right panel.
Yeah, that's what I like.
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, holographic chess piece. Yeah, very, very cool. And like I said, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I always had a love for the Stormtrooper outfit. So I love those characters just for their look. So it's really, really neat. So love that. Very cool.
Okay, I found the blog post on. So going back to Jim Lee Wolverine. All right, I have the numbers, and I just put it in the chat. All right, guys, we're going Jim Lee's run.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So here's the math. If you take Jim Lee's run, Wolverine is in costume in 48 pages.
So the original,
if you want him in pages and you don't want, if you want him facing you, it's 28 pages.
Facing you.
If you want him claws out fighting, 22 pages. That's how scarce our hobby is.
When you say original run, does that only include the original, Uncanny X-Men, or is that saying, you know, including like his run? Some people will say the Jim Lee run has Uncanny and then followed by X-Men #1, right? So some people, the way they refer to it, they'll include both series. So I don't know what he's.
Okay, this is Uncanny. I apologize. Uncanny I thought it also included. This is only Uncanny only.
Okay, Uncanny only. Okay, still like wow. And how many issues are there total for Jim Lee? I forget.
Jim only drew 15 issues, 248, 256 through 258, 267, 277. Wow. He did covers for 22.
Wow. Only 15 interiors. That's wild.
There's some caveats in there. In 267, he shared art duties with Wills. In 273, he only did 4 pages. Scott Williams only inked 12 of 15 issues and sometimes had help. See,
interesting.
It gets like you start dissecting this, and you get to 22 pages. Yeah. That are Lee Williams, Wolverine claws out.
Wolverine claws. That's crazy.
It's pretty wild.
That's really crazy. Yeah. When you think about an average of 22 pages per story, right? Like that's wild. And yeah, it does absolutely gets rarer and rarer, and you're like, ooh, it definitely puts a different way of looking at it, you know.
Of the 15 issues, 5 don't have a single panel of Wolverine.
Wow, 5 full issues don't have a single Wolverine in.
Yeah, so there's 100 pages right out of the whole mix, right?
Yeah, 110 pages. Let's be precise, because it's 22 per.
Of the 337 interior pages that Jim Lee did, there are only 94 that have Wolverine or any little piece of Wolverine.
Wow,
so
that's wild.
So it goes 337, 94 with Wolverine, 48 in costume, 28 with him that are facing you, and then 22 where he's actually got his claws out. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is wild. That is very, very wild. Thank you for
the same is true for, like, I have a little database of this. I don't have it written out as succinctly as this, but if you start thinking about McFarlane Spider-Man, and then you say with Venom, you're now down to 100.
Oh yeah,
100 possible pages, and then you're very down to 40, and then a lot of them he's tiny, or it's like a hand or something like that, or like a splash coming out, and then so the scarcity in our hobby is pretty fun to think about, even for some of these long runs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the fun things to do if you have time, and but being a myopic collector, it's kind of one of the fun things to what is the surface area of what I'm trying to collect here, and how do I think about it, and how do I prioritize things? It's kind of a fun part of the hobby for me.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially
and it ends up, it's already a 1 of 1, but it ends up being super scarce when you start doing that. It's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Something to think about.
And yeah, Carl, I know for sure, and people have done that with the whole Superman and Doomsday together, and how many appearances, and yeah, it's relatively not a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for rallying the like as always, Nick. I promised you before, right on time, midpoint of the show. So just so you know, I appreciate it, everybody. Yeah, if you're still there and haven't hit the thumbs up, I'd appreciate you hitting that thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Maybe we can get to 50 for Scott tonight. That would awesome. That'd be awesome. 6 more to go. And especially when you take away all the splashes from Superman 75 that are unobtainable. That's true. Another fair point to you, Carl. Thank you. And there was something else I wanted to put. Oh yeah, Marcus wanted to know: do you have any love for modern Marvel Star Wars, Scott?
Yeah, I've got a fair amount of modern Star Wars stuff that I don't have on my calf, so it'll be out there on a rainy day someday.
Okay, there you go. And all right, everybody, let us get on to the next piece in the show. Only less than a handful left. And this next one is another cool Toddster from issue 9, page 18, pencils and inks by the Toddster. And yeah, love it. Love the technique, especially on the large figure. I love that eyes and jaws or teeth, if you will, in the first panels, hiding in the darkness. Yeah, cool, man. Just, I don't know. I promised I shouldn't have been the one always telling you what I love about it, Scott, before the show started. But you can see I can't help myself sometimes. Yeah, so go ahead. You tell us.
You love the same things I love.
Yeah.
So yeah, showing him in the shadows, I don't remember ever seeing that before. So that's a really cool, breaking a boundary kind of thing. Think about all the comics Wolverine's been in before this here in 1991, and I don't remember ever seeing that kind of a cool silhouette of his eyes and teeth. It may have happened, but that's pretty unique. And then in the bottom piece, again, he loves to break the panels, so he's breaking the rules, and you can see Wolverine goes well out of that boundary, which is cool. But the hatching on this is pretty amazing. And this is where the other fun thing about our hobby is, if you look at the published page, it's just kind of like a dark Wolverine. You don't get look at how much more detail we get in the OA over on the left by all the musculature and all the anatomy, and the hatching. It's just kind of totally lost over on the colored version. It's kind of the sad part about our hobby, I guess, is the end reader doesn't get to see a big chunk of the art. But that's kind of the fun thing about our hobby. It's kind of like uncovering this artifact of art that no one saw before, and now we get to see it.
Yeah. May I ask, is this one of the pages that you've owned for like a very, very long time?
It is, yeah. I've had this one for quite a while.
Okay. Wow, that's fabulous. And do you remember? I mean, obviously, I can check myself, but do you remember how long you had it in terms of like how long it took you to actually put it into your gallery, or was it like one of the earlier ones that you posted?
I would have to go look.
I mean, I'm just curious. You don't have to go check Scott. Don't worry.
Yeah, usually it depends on the point I was in my life and what I was going on with the company that was doing. So there'd be a period of time where I would get the art and I would just like, I typically have it shipped to work because I know there'd be a human there to get it all the time. And I always worry that it's going to sit out on my porch and get rained on or something at home. No one will see it for 12 hours and could be porch pirated or something like that.
That's right.
So this guy was posted in 05. I think I had this. So 05 was, I think I got it in 03. So I think I got it in 03 and didn't put on calf for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think I got it on eBay probably. I'm pretty sure eBay used to be able to get a lot of this Spider-Man on eBay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Today you would wonder if it was real, and you'd be like, it seems.
Yeah. The good old days. Yeah, Tariq, it makes you wish you had started collecting 30 years ago. I'm sure most people who didn't start 30 years ago wish they started 30 years ago.
Yeah, I wish I started 60 years ago. Hindsight's 2020. But it's pretty crazy to think I've had this page for 20 years. I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that long.
Doesn't feel like it. Yeah. Time passes fast, man. Especially the older we get, right? It's like every decade subsequently seems to pass faster than the last. It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you have kids, it like blurs everything out.
And that
keeps you pretty busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everyone, let us check the next piece. And for this piece, I mean, a lot of this stuff is near and dear to my heart, but this is another one that's near and dear to my heart. We mentioned earlier when Scott brought up the fact of the 122 cover, and I said I love Danger Room stuff. So had to show this one. Love this. Check this one out, everyone. X-Men 125, page 7 by Burne and Austin from 1979. That is indeed the original on the left, colored by Steve Oliff. And although, yes, I personally typically, and like most people, wish he had never colored the originals, he always seemed to do a pretty great job. So I'm one of those people who, if I was looking to buy a Burne X-Men page with great content, I am on the side of I would have done what you did, Scott. I would have bought this or traded for it or whatever. Regardless of whether it was colored or not. To me, this is just fantastic. And you'd be hard pressed to find a better Burne Austin page with these, who frankly to me are the three best characters, really. The Nightcrawler, Colossus, Wolverine. Hard pressed to find a better page. So fantastic.
Yeah, and part of this fun storyline was the gelling of the team. They all had big egos. So, Wolverine's going to give Colossus a hand, and he's like, no, I don't need a hand. And then, Nightcrawler tries to help and gets sucked in by the wall. And so I've always wanted a good, Danger Room. And, if I could have gotten an uncolored one, I would probably prefer it. But it doesn't exist, right? This is one of one and it's colored. So this checked all the boxes for me. And, to your point, it's kind of, it's unique. It's the only colored page I have in my collection. And it's pretty close to the original. The only one, the only area is like some of the background. So in the panel 4, the wall is blue and published, and over here it's not. And just little nuances like that.
Right.
But, it's pretty wild to have the original color page. Don't see a ton of that out there. I think I've seen like 5 of these pages that, I guess people would send them off and he would do it for them.
Oh man. Yeah. No, well, actually, I'm not. Yeah. See, I've heard stories where people would walk up to him at conventions because they would buy, let's say, a page right from either Terry or John, and then go down the aisle and, oh, look at that. Steve Oliff does coloring, the comic's in color. So it's missing color. Let me get him to color this, So a lot of people would do that. And apparently he would do that on the spot at conventions. But Did he do them through the mail as well? If you've heard that, then I that would not surprise me either. But
maybe it's conventions.
I got to tell you though, Scott, I actually much prefer Olaf's colors than the published colors.
Yeah, I do too. They're subtle. You don't lose the OA underneath. Like if you look at panel 2, look at the lines in Wolverine's leg, and just like a lot more detail kind of comes through this. And if you look at the art, it's got kind of like a light. It's almost, I would have thought inks, but it looks almost like a colored pencil he colored it with. So it doesn't obscure the underlying pencil. And maybe he only did that on this. I'm sure on the color pages or whatever those are called. It is ink.
Yeah.
But it looks like a colored pencil. I'm not an expert, though. It could be some light ink pen or something.
Yeah. I think it's fabulous, regardless of what it was used for, to color it or whatever. And hey, Marcus, I don't know if you noticed, but the page in the first panel, it's been dedicated to Lance. Any chance it's our Lance? Or, I'm sure there's been more than one Lance who has owned the comic art before, but you never know. Lance has been around for a long time. It'd be funny to find out that this was once his. But Rick says, nice coloring on the chrome. Yeah, and what I like about it is, like, if you look at the fourth panel, that's what I like. I like the fact that he didn't bother to color the wall. I like it better like that with white, just white, I don't like that blue.
Yeah.
Agreed. And like
because it's white in panel, in the published comic, it's white everywhere else, and then suddenly it's blue there, and then in panel 4, like I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. You know what Thomas says? Those were typically colored with Dr. Martin's dyes, and that's the colorist who colored the photocopies, right? So the color guides, those were Dr. Martin's dyes for sure. I can't say for absolute certainty that's what Olaf was using. But I don't know what you mean by fading now, because if you look at color guides, they pretty much all look absolutely vibrant, fantastic. They don't look like the colors have faded. So not sure what you mean by that, Thomas. Yeah, I've not really seen Dr. Martin's dyes that have faded. But anyway,
earlier Thomas says he was the underbidder on a lot of my Spider-Man pages back in the day. This is a funny story. I went to Heroes, and there was like there was a Friday night event, and I go to that thing, and it was the first con I've ever been to. And I go up to the bar, and there's this kind of like big dude there, and he looks over at me and says, "Are you Scot Wingo?" And I was like, "Yeah." And, I don't normally get, this is a bar in Charlotte, and I don't, all I know is like, George Hodge.
I'm here to beat you up.
And he was like, you've really pissed me off for like 20 years. And he was like pretty stone-faced about it. And I was like, what did I do? He's like, I've been trying to collect McFarlane art for 20 years, and he used like quite a bit of sailor talk.
Cursing language.
He was friendly enough, but it was a little unusual. Yeah.
Oh, so
and then he said, So then after that, he said, but what I have to thank you for is I ended up acquiring, when I realized I was never going to get McFarlane art because you were going to outbid me. I went and got a lot of Burne art. So now he has 20 Burne Austin pages. So he said, I have you to thank for that at least. Yeah.
Okay. So did you ever find out who that person was?
Yeah. His name.
You don't have to say his name if it's like a secret or whatever, but I'm just saying, I'm curious.
I don't think you would. I'm sure you've seen him on CAF. It says retired colonel, and it's like Churchill.
Philip Churchill.
Philip
that
guy. Yeah.
Oh my God. So
I don't know if you've ever met him in real life. Yeah.
I met him. I don't remember him being a big guy.
Yeah.
I met him in person. I don't remember him being a big guy. Is it maybe that you were so intimidated?
He stood up and maybe he was like 6'1". Maybe it was. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
A couple of drinks in, so it could have been that too.
He's looking like the Hulk now,
Yeah,
that is so funny. Thomas says
a bar fight over comic book art. This is unusual.
Yeah, really. Thomas is telling you, wasn't me. I'm in Hawaii.
It was not Hawaii. It was not Thomas.
I've been trying to buy Burne X-Men art. Sure, you have. He's a big guy. Who is?
See, Marcus agrees. Marcus must know him.
And I met him. And yeah, I remember him being big.
How tall are you, Ruben? Can't tell.
Not even 6 feet. Not even 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, just half an inch short of 6 feet.
He stood up. My memory is he was pretty tall, 6'2".
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't necessarily equate, height with big. Like when somebody says to me, "Oh man, this guy was pretty big," I'm thinking like wide, thick. That like, you know what I mean? Like a tall guy can be, tall and skinny. Like you could be 6'4" and you're 160 pounds or whatever. I wouldn't say that guy's big. I would just say, oh, he's a tall, skinny guy. You know what I mean? Because it's all perception, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Mike Snitzer says, big personality, big mouth. I don't know who you're referring to. Might be me though. But Scott intimidates with his collection. That's true. That's true. Many people. Many McFarlane fans.
I'm an art lover, not a fighter.
Not a fighter. Yeah, Churchill used to help out with Moy a few years. Oh, did he? Okay, interesting. I'm pretty. If you say so, but for me, Nick, my whole life, I mean, I think it was the standard here in North America. It was kind of like the standard was you're only considered tall once you hit 6. If you're 6 and above, that's what people consider tall. So for me, I just missed being tall by a half an inch. I have the color guide. Rich says to Michael Golden's Marvel marching poster. That's right. That's a cool one, which is Dr. Martin's dyes. The purples on it have faded. Interesting. The previous owner may have kept it in light. Interesting. Because usually, like I said, on the color guides, they don't fade. I've never seen a faded color guide. They look fantastic. They still look really, really vibrant. Dan wants to know, Scott, did you actually sell Philip any pages? Probably not.
No, I talked about trading, and he was a little prickly. I think he's actually pretty mad at me.
If I can't buy with my cash, no, you're not getting any of my art either. Yeah. So there you go. Churchill was around in the comic art L days. Yeah, so were you. So was I. Yeah. He's been around for a long time. Absolutely. He goes back to the 90s for sure. Maybe he was retired Army, being a retired colonel. I don't know, Thomas, what you meant by that. He was Army big.
Army big.
Whatever. Army big. Yeah, whatever that means. If it's just half an inch, you can lie. But I'm not a liar. That's the thing. If you want to say yes, when I put on my running shoes or whatever, now I hit 6 feet. But that's not real. I'd rather I need to hit it for real, and I'm never going to. So. I'm sure it'll be not too many more years before I start shrinking. So I've known Philip for many years, and I think I ticked him off early when I was setting new high marks on Perez Avengers pages. Hey, listen, and everybody gets ticked off when what they want they're having trouble getting, and other people are buying them instead of them. So that's normal. Dr. Martens are supposed to be super permanent. Exactly. That's my point. Exactly, Dan. That's what I'm saying. And for the most part, they seem to be on color guides. They damn sure as hell seem to be. Oh, R. Lee Ermey, the guy from Full Metal Jacket. Okay. Yeah, I love that guy. He was a great character actor. Thanks for clearing that up. That's not what you told the ladies. I never lied, my friend. I never lied. Okay, everybody, let's check this out here. This next piece. Scott, interesting that I'm showing this one because I was surprised earlier in the show. You mentioned that your favorite Spidey, you actually prefer black costume Spidey over the classic costume Spidey? Is that what I heard?
When it comes to OA, it's kind of more fun and scarce and unique. So I think it looks cooler in the OA kind of realm.
Yeah, because of the whole contrast, right? A lot more contrast in black and white. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the white spider on his suit really pops. Yeah. It's cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody, let's check this one out. Killer page. If you can't have the cover, then you might as well have this. From 315, the third page. Again, pencils and inks by Todd McFarlane from 1989, and a classic large image. And of course, that close-up is awesome. The whole page is just awesome in general. Talk to us about this, Scott. This is awesome.
Yeah, so in this run, it's kind of the, you had the origin earlier. You had in kind of like the 298 to 300. You had the kind of origin of Venom, and here he's kind of the symbiote is driving Eddie Brock insane, and
Yeah.
He's killing innocent people. He's kind of losing his humanity, and so there's another panel in this series where he's kind of running around going he and running around trying to kill people and just like basically become a serial killer. It's kind of funny. It's kind of creepy. And so Todd does a really good job with that, where he's killed this innocent person and he's so remorseful. He's sorry. And then one panel later, look at that grin that comes out. It's like, and so it's just really good storytelling here that you can just feel his humanity slipping away. And then you've got this classic, action lines and panel, I guess it's a little pop-up panel in the bottom there. And then I love the perspective of this Venom coming up this tunnel of buildings. Talk about your what do they call that? The 3-point perspective, where they draw the lines and come out. And you look at all the detail of the buildings that he's kind of zipping through, coming up here to get Spider-Man. Love the pose. He's also, doing that classic McFarlane. You got a leg and an arm back and all different places to really give you that 3D feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And like George is saying, love the building perspective, to create the speed lines. And of course, Carl.
And he always loves a foot kind of popping out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
That's a classic trope for him now. You may not have heard this before, Scott, but this page is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, this is definitely super top tier of my collection, and I was real excited to get this one.
Yeah, Scott has overloaded me tonight with awesome art. Insane in the membrane, indeed. Yeah, compact ball of muscle. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's all just an absolutely stunning page. To go along with the absolutely stunning collection overall. So, man, that's
this one's right here. I don't know if you saw it, but
that's it. That's one of the ones that was there along right underneath the Hembeck. So fantastic. That's amazing. And by the way, everybody, that was the last piece for tonight. That was the one I was keeping for the end. Yeah, that was the last one. That was the 20th piece. We always have about 20 pieces, so that was the 20th piece. Before we close it out, though, just before everybody starts to drop out, everybody, please catch us next week. Drop in if you don't mind. I'm going to do something a little different next week. It's a show and tell, but it's not quite comic art. But a lot of people in this hobby are into this other hobby. Here, check this out. My buddy Jeremy is going to be doing a show and tell about the art of video games. So I thought, a lot of people in our hobby are into video gaming. A lot of people are gamers. And Jeremy's super hardcore into that. And I thought that would be really, really fun. I've always been very attracted to the art on, non-comics illustrations, such as video games, magazine art, toy packaging art. And so I thought it'd be a really, really cool thing to do. A little bit different, but still the same. So, check that out at the usual time next Sunday, 8 o'clock. And let me see what comments we got here. Sorry. First Dan says, just a great collection. Absolutely is.
Thanks,
Mike Snitzer. Need to get
Mike,
that.
this is out of the portfolio for 3 hours, and it's dark out, and I have LED lights, and then it's going back. So don't you worry. It even better. It's going to be hidden in a very dark portfolio, which is what I've been fortunate that I don't have wall space, because a lot of people that have been collecting as long as I have put their art in frames in the sun, and it's they've got vanishing art.
Thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate it. Appreciate you always. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And Tariq, ending on the highest of a series of high notes. I always like to try to end on a strong one. So, John, thank you for hanging in tonight, John. I appreciate it. Phenomenal collection. Absolutely. Thank you. It was a show made great by the presence of the esteemed Scot Wingo. And Scott, by the way, just so I can get it, because I know people sometimes will get pissed off and they don't want to say it because they feel bad. But I always, if you've noticed, when you're in my chat, I often refer to you as, when I see you, I'm like, hey, Scotty. Does that annoy you? It's a term of endearment. I do it as a term of endearment. I do that to people I like. But some people,
I had a boss one time that called me that, and it wasn't a term of endearment. But yeah, as long as it's a term of endearment, we're good. I'll call you Rubini.
You can call me
Rubinator, whatever you prefer.
Whatever you prefer. That's good. Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah. No, I want people to I'm very respectful that way. Like I certainly don't want, people if it annoys people, I want to know, and I'll never do it again. So that's why I love Magyar.
Public company. I've been called terrible things. So
I'm sure, of course, in that field, yes. Visually explosive night. Excellent way to put it, Ian. I appreciate it. Great art. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Dan's laughing. Where is the Hembeck going? I don't know what that is. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for chatting art tonight, Scott. Great stuff. Another great show, Ruben. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for coming back and hanging out, Nick. That's really cool to see. Appreciate that.
Thanks again on the Hembeck. Appreciate you not wanting that.
Yes, he thanked you profusely before you were here. So just so you know, Scott's good people.
Yeah. Daniel Caffis for sharing with the world. If it's in my house, he wants me to put it in glass and share it with the world. But yeah, there's like 3 people that live in my house right now, so that's I'd rather have it in a portfolio. And only one of us cares about original art, and I have all the portfolios, so I can go look at them whenever I want. So
awesome. Show and Tell says Rick. Thanks, Rick, as always, for the support.
Thanks,
really appreciate it, man. Thank you. We call Ruben. That really kind of sounds crappy. And as much as I hate Ruby, I will admit that is my actual nickname to my family, my immediate family, because as a little boy, my name
Little Ruby.
Shortened.
You were Little Ruby.
I was. I've always hated
Little Ruby. Like a rapper. Well, I prefer your rapper named Lil Ruby.
That sounds not bad, actually. Maybe I can make a few million if I knew. Now I just have to learn how to rap, but that's legit. So if you want to make fun of me, you can say that. You call me that because I really hate it. And now you know my secret. Great, thank you, George. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for hanging out. It's awesome to see you.
You gotta get George on. Is George?
And I was gonna say, George. I've been wanting also. You're just like Scott. I've been wanting to have you on for quite some time, and have also been kind of waiting, debating. Because when I think about you, I'm like, I feel like I need to do a show and tell based on musically related artwork. But then I'm like, but it's so kind of obvious, and then like, are people gonna care? Blah blah blah. So maybe we just do a regular one, and I put in a few pieces of the music related art. So, but yeah, you let me know, and I will reach out, and we can set something up for the hopefully early sometime in the new year if you have some time. That would be awesome. Yes, that's my other name. You guys can all call me what Carlos calls me, Rubencito. There you go. So that's it. Okay, George says we'll find the time. No, my pleasure. I've just been delaying. I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, and I've just been delaying it. Like I told Scott before the show started, I've just been waiting a long time to ask anybody who had already been on Comic Art Live. I've been kind of delaying as much as I can, simply because I wanted to get different people. I don't want people thinking, well, they're gonna get confused. It's the same channel. Or whatever. Why are you doing the same stuff as over there? Blah, blah, blah. So that's why with Scott, I waited quite a while till I asked him. I wanted to wait a long time to try to get newer people that, as many new people as possible that had never been on before. But it's harder and getting harder and harder to do that. So now I don't mind. Now it's been a while. I've been doing it for 16, 17 months or whatever. So I don't mind having people who've done this before, And look who's come in, Michael McIsaac. Fun show. I popped in and out between watching over my kids. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. And there's another guy who I did ask him a while back, but he's been super busy, and we've never been able to sort of get around. So, Michael, just remember, I'm always up for it. and interested to do a show and tell with you. So whenever you think you have a lull in your schedule, yeah, let me know, man. I've just been patiently waiting to hear back from you about it. So would love to do it. George will also need to open with a song. You never know. He's actually a musician, so who knows what could happen when we do something with George, you know? So I appreciate it. Good night to you, Dan. Thanks for dropping in. And thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. We'll look forward to hearing from you. And that's it, Scott. I just wanted to say again, thank you so much, man. It was as fun as I expected it would be to do this with you. And I really do appreciate your time, especially given, you know, how long my shows go. Yeah, so it really means a lot to me. So, you know, I wish I could pay you a stipend, but I can't pay anybody jack shit since I don't make jack shit. So, but I thank you from the bottom.
It's a passion we all have. It's fun to talk about art, so it's good.
That's great.
Thanks for doing the channel. The more content we have out there, the better it is for the hobby. So I appreciate you doing it.
That's what I've been saying all along. I appreciate you saying that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. And thank you, Marcus, as always. My pal, everybody's pal, and for the great support. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. John C., great show. Scott, have a great night, guys. Have a great night to you, my fellow Canadian. And Ruben needs a board of directors to tell me to shut the fuck up, probably.
That's Vivian. Yeah. That's Vivian's job.
That's Vivian's job. Exactly. Okay, everybody. So we're gonna stay with me just for a minute, will you, Scott? Are you okay to hang with me? Don't hang up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna leave you all, everybody, with the thumbnail for next week, as I always do, I guess. And yeah, please remember to tune back in next week at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. And yeah, we'll have some fun. It'll be different for me as well, because I am not a gamer myself. I have a connection to video games, but it's not a strong one. And so a lot of this will be very new and exciting to me as well. So it should be fun for everybody. And JC, as always, I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad you are here every week and enjoying it. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Scott. And that's it. We're out of here. Peace. Oh, thanks, and go blue. Sorry, say what you just said again, Scott.
Oh, thanks everyone, and thanks everyone for coming. Enjoyed the chat.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Go blue.